Here we go.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wednesday night Pop Culture Corner panel. Guys, we have a great, fun show for you tonight. My name is Austin. I'm going to be your host tonight, kind of leading and stuff as Ty, as we all know, is on vacation, or maybe not. He could pop in tonight. Who knows? But guys, welcome everybody in the chat. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe this video. TW, Adam, always good to see you guys. TW, by the way, I sent you the link if you want to join. Oh, there you are. Okay, cool. So yeah, guys. Also, don't forget, if you guys have any questions, anything you want us to talk about or address, make sure and put it in the comments. Send a super chat. Show us some love and let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear from us. We have a few things obviously on topic, and we got a great panel for you tonight. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and lead right into the panel. I'll bring in our first person here. Let's bring in Mr. Diao. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Good to have you here. Alrighty, next. We got our frequent. Yep, Paul from Into the West, right?
What's up? How's it going, guys?
What is up, dude? Going well, man. What are you up to? What you been up to?
I just got off of work, picked up a dog, and now I'm ready to talk some movies and comics with you guys.
Just like a random dog? You got
a friend of mine's dog, but yeah.
Very cool.
A random dog, yeah.
Yeah, just a random
dog. That is kind
of
what that sounded like when I said it, huh?
I just picked up a dog, came home, was like, cool, man. Next up, always, we got our producer, who is always looming in the background. It's like the god of our channel, basically. Caiden, what's up, man?
What's up?
How you doing, dude?
Good.
Dude, how you liking producing the show? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's fun. Messing with stuff in the
really
back.
Suck if you were like, it's not that fun, and I want to quit. Alrighty, let's see here. Get that in the chat. All right, and then lastly, we got. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to also keep up with all this other stuff going on with my computer right now. Cool. All right, yeah. Well, I guess this is it for now. I think we have a couple other people joining us later, but so to start off, obviously, first thing on the list, are you guys all caught up on What If?
I'm not actually, but I don't mind talking about it.
Darn it, Paul!
No, you can spoil it. I don't mind.
Dude. You had one
like
job.
I said, I was at work all day. I had to go to sleep last night.
You're supposed to be up all night watching.
Hey, man, it doesn't always work out like that in the real world. But yeah, I'm not afraid to talk freely. Don't get too caught up on spoilers if we want to get into spoilers.
Okay. I mean, the spoilers aren't crazy for this one, but
the spoilers aren't crazy for this one?
There's the major one. Yeah, I was talking to a friend who hadn't seen it before, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna go crazy with the person that shows up." But yeah, man. Okay, so it was the T'Challa Star-Lord episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. Obviously, very nice to hear. This was Chadwick Boseman's final performance. I think I don't think he has any other movies. I think this is his last performance.
Well, he's got a couple. I think he's got several episodes on What If where he does the voice, so it's not the last one.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
Good.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has a couple of episodes of What If where he voices T'Challa.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, last night's episode it was wild, obviously, to hear him back in the role and things after he's been passed away and stuff. And I mean, that dude, he's left a legacy with that character that I'm kind of happy they're not recasting him. You know, I think that's for me. That's he just defined that role. Yeah, you're making a face there. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Hot take. Got a hot take.
We got hot takes already.
Put the hot take up.
Yes, I know. Like I gotta find the hot take. Where's the hot take?
Come on, man. Get on it.
Caiden, where are you? You're supposed to find the hot take.
I don't know where it is. It's
okay.
Here.
It's
not here.
Hot take alert.
Hot
It's
take
fine.
alert, everybody.
It's fine. I want them to recast T'Challa. I do.
Really?
I really do.
How come?
Look, Chadwick Boseman, fantastic. He was an excellent Black Panther. He did leave a legacy with that character. I just feel like there's so much more they can do with the character in the MCU, and I feel like it's kind of premature for them to just leave the character forever. I know, in the comics, there's other people that took up the mantle of Black Panther, but the character of T'Challa, like, I feel like he'd be gone too soon. And it's like, it's not the first time they recasted, they recasted someone in the MCU. So it's like, I know Chadwick Boseman was excellent in the role, but it's like, he is not the character. I've always said that, an actor should not overtake, the story of a film. There are the tools to help us tell the story. So, and I know it's like there's other examples where people are like, can't see anyone else playing that role, like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. But it's like, if we can have like 10 different Batmans, 3 different Spider-Men, like we could do the same thing with T'Challa. So it's like, I just personally feel they should keep the character going, but we'll see what they do with Wakanda Forever. So
right, and then obviously you have the opportunity of with the multiverse that you could literally just bring in different actor from a different universe that's Black Panther, and that could totally work too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess what I think maybe they should do is give it a film or two. Let it breathe for a second. I think it would feel a little rushed if it just it was like in Wakanda Forever. We got 2 Caidens. Dear God.
Oh no.
Take it over.
All right, there we go. But I mean, I do think there should be like a little room to breathe because I feel like it'd be a lot just to do it.
Yeah,
in
I
the
feel
next
like
movie, but
right.
We got a new Black Panther.
Right. That's exactly. I understand, because they're trying to get it out next year, and I really wish that they will wait so we can just let it, just sink in, and it won't get very emotional for people. So it's like, since they're doing it so soon, I do understand why they want to have other characters take up the mantle instead of just recasting, because it is still very sensitive. Like, we're still feeling his loss. So it's like, I get it, but it's like, I wish we could just push it back. And just reevaluate the stuff. But as I said, we'll see. I trust in Ryan Coogler, trust in Kevin Feige for the most part. So we'll see where it goes.
I trust in Kevin Feige. Right, there you go. TW, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
There we go. Good. We got a little bit of we got our Canadian audience now. I'm happy. I'm happy. What are your thoughts on this, dude? Obviously, are you caught up on What If?
I am not. I am very, very behind on What If and all the MCU stuff, but that's okay. It's all good. Don't worry.
Great. Well, I mean, you can't talk about. How do you feel about Marvel recasting Black Panther?
I'm kind of two minds. It's I respect the decision, to not want to recast and very much holding it in that kind of high esteem. But at the same time, I see if they want to do something else with the character of T'Challa. I think there was room to do it again, like you said, kind of give it time to breathe. Mm-hmm. But I think it also helps that this is still the MCU. It's not like I don't see a reboot of the franchise or anything like that, or of the universe anytime in the near future. So I don't really see a place where it could shift into another, another version of that character where it would be sort of acceptable in a sense, I think, for the audience, by which I mean. It's different. It's different compared to recastings of other, other characters. Like we've obviously had multiple Bruce Banners, we've had roadies, we've had 2 different roadies, and it's happened more than once. It's been it was for character reasons or for reasons like professional reasons. It wasn't due to the death of one of the actors behind that character. So I'm kind of split. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and then Dia, would you? I know, Paul, but I want to just ask Dia what real
No,
quick.
I was just thinking. No, you're good.
When you were talking about recast, would you want like a recast T'Challa or just like something they were talking about like M'Baku taking over the role, of Black Panther or something like, or do you want like because you mentioned there are a lot of stories. Are you talking specifically with T'Challa?
Yes, even though I love M'Baku in the Black Panther in the MCU, I think he's great. But yeah, I want them to recast T'Challa, and it's like to rebuttal TW's point. Like it's the Heath Ledger thing again, because like we're still very sensitive about his death, but we got Jokers after him, and we're okay. So it's like the same thing with Chadwick Boseman. It's like I don't feel like recasting T'Challa will disrespect his legacy on the character. If anything, it's going to keep his legacy alive if we keep telling stories with T'Challa.
And I think that when it comes to a recasting, if they did do an MCU recast, I think one way to at least kind of ease or appease some members of the audience in a sense, I think, is maybe have his widow at least sign off, kind of say, hey, like to look at the performance, to look at what this new actor's doing and say, yes, this is where I'd want to go. And like there's that, but also like his family at large, I think as well, I think would be helpful to an audience in a sense.
I feel it. Now, Paul, I know you usually have some hot fun takes, so I'm curious.
I mean, this is just one of those things that I don't really. This might sound bad. I don't really care. If they don't recast, and let me elaborate. And by that I mean like I'm happy if they recast them. I'm happy if they don't. I understand both. I think Dial makes a good point. I'd love to see more stories with that character, with T'Challa. But also I understand that it gets a little dicey when someone passes away, and then the huge cultural phenomenon that Black Panther was, and just to try to shuffle in a new guy and be like, hey, I mean, for example, there's like you can make 2 counter examples. One example, I mean, Chris Evans didn't die, and you saw how annoyed people got when they were trying to make Wyatt Russell the new Captain America from people who didn't understand that he was a different character. They were just like, why are they trying to replace him? People got mad about that, and it's not even like Steve Rogers died, so you could see people having backlash about that. But also, I mean, it was kind of a necessity for the story, but what's his name? The guy who played Dumbledore died and cast him right away. So, I mean...
that's a good point.
Like I said, you can tell stories about the Black Panther without T'Challa, so it's a little different. You can't really tell the Harry Potter story without Dumbledore's. They kind of had to recast him. But I mean, all that to say is, I mean, I'm cool with whatever. I won't get too bent out of shape. I understand the people who are like, well, I want to see more of this character because I love this character, and it sucks that Chadwick can't do it, but I want someone to be able to do it. But I also understand that let this be his and let his legacy live with this for a little bit, and then kind of maybe try to do something different with it in the future. But I get either side, and that's what I mean to say when I don't care. Like I'm not going to be jaded one way or the other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's up, guys?
What's up, Mr. Vacation? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Very good, actually. So I mean I've seen a little bit more of What If than most people, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, but the guy who played Steve Rogers in episode 1 really did throw me off.
It didn't throw me off at all. I didn't even notice, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
The reason it threw me off was because the MCU built a relationship between Steve and Peggy, and that was a central storyline for Cap. And then to have someone else voicing him but also having Haley Atwell voicing her character, it just I mean, it didn't take me out of the story, but it felt weird.
Yeah, I didn't.
The same thing with Drax in this past episode. I thought it was
Yeah,
Dave.
he also had one line, so I mean,
Yeah, Drax didn't really matter.
Yeah,
to
and
me.
also with Josh Keaton he also reminded me of Chris Evans as Steve, who isn't crazy.
Yeah, his voice actually was, I
Yeah.
thought, pretty similar.
And
Oh,
also,
Josh Keaton.
and also
I-
the Skinny Steve Rogers had a different voice from Skinny Steve Rogers and Buff Steve Rogers. Like they had different voices as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
like
it didn't. It didn't bother
His
me.
higher
It didn't-
testosterone changed
Yeah.
as well during the Super Soldier serum.
what did you guys think of the before I could talk about it, I can talk about it finally. What did you think of the team in episode 2
Dude,
with Thanos?
bruh.
Yeah, by the way,
What-
spoilers for episode 2. By
Yeah.
the way, everybody.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
What an
Yeah, right.
amazing what an
Surprise.
amazing surprise. I was holding back, like trying to talk about it. I was just like, this is amazing. Like to have him be a part of the team, be a good guy, and also like be drinking with the team, talking about how his plan was stupid. Like how
Right,
you know what I mean? It was so ass backwards that it was so cool and so funny. And I loved every minute.
Right, and
of
he
it.
would like make fun of himself about it, like yeah, you know, or what is it? T'Challa says is sometimes you need a good conversation. I'm just like, what? This is so crazy. Like,
Bruh.
Thanos is
It kind of spoke to T'Challa as a character because he's like this person that can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, and even that guy that they come across in the beginning, the
Pursuer, whatever his name is.
Yeah, whatever his name is, that
Jimon
he
Hansu.
turns in, he's like, can I use my? Should I put my gun down? He's like, you can use it. Really? I can use like, oh my gosh, dude! I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I thought they
is
did.
great.
I thought they did the Collector better in What If than in the actual MCU.
I agree.
The Collector was so much
Kind of a
more
throwaway character in the MCU.
Yeah, kind of a throwaway character in the MCU, but in What If, like he throws down. He throws down. And
It's like
and
he has that wall of
there's
artifacts.
also a the artifacts.
and the Howard the Duck scene, like
and there's a reference to Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, they had the Hella mask, and like this episode was riddled with Easter eggs.
Easter eggs,
and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and also like going back to the whole like mending these two conversations of the recast and What If. What AC Bradley said is that Chadwick was the first one to like contact AC and said, "No, don't recast me. I'm gonna voice T'Challa."
Right.
Like,
He
so
was one of the
I
first
think
ones to come on.
so he was like, so I think he was very vocal of not being recasted, and because he wants to put all of his energy into playing T'Challa because he didn't know when he didn't know when he was going to.
In everything, as he wanted that character to have every opportunity he could to be in whatever, and Chadwick would
it was
be there to
kind
do
of in a way it was like almost fate, right? He got this beautiful send off, which he didn't know that it was going to be that way, right? So the last time we hear his voice, he's playing a character that, you know, it's not him. It's Star-Lord mashup. He plays he does really well, by the way, as Star-Lord. And I love his how he is the one who kind of makes the Ravagers a good
Right.
team. Like they're not bad
Right.
guys anymore. They're good people. And what a
Like
beautiful
Robin Hood.
way to send off T'Challa and
He turns
Chadwick
one of the
Boseman.
biggest bad guys in the MCU into a good guy.
Yeah,
He turns
yeah.
Thanos into a good guy.
like
I-
I was absolutely blown away. And honestly, did they? Because I already watched the episodes. Did they have the tribute at the end?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I literally had a tear in my eye
Yeah.
from it, because I don't know, for you guys, for us, they played like a little video, like it was like a mashup of moments throughout his MCU, and it really it put tears in my eyes.
So,
Yeah.
we were talking about like his final performance. This is his last like big one, but he voices T'Challa in, it says, 4 episodes of What If. He is the voice of T'Challa in 4 total episodes. So this isn't the last time we're gonna hear him be T'Challa.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's the thing about Anthology, which I was under the impression that Anthology, what they were going for was each episode would be a separate thing, but someone pointed out, no, American Horror Story, that's also an anthology. It's each season is its own storyline, and that's what they're doing here. Season 1 is its own storyline of What If, and season 2 will be its own storyline. Even though they'll all heavily feature, and I'm telling you right now, Captain Carter is the center of it all.
What's good integrity?
Oh yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like it's anthology by season.
Right.
Not
how
by
poetic!
episode.
Because like remember in Phase 1, Captain America was the last person to get his solo movie before the Avengers, and now in this, Captain Carter's the first one to start What If.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
And yeah,
interesting.
I mean, as far as I'm hearing too, they're setting it up as, as far as I knew up until a couple weeks ago, I didn't think this was going to be canon, but apparently it is. So they may be even setting it up for us to see like Captain Carter in live action and see some.
Well, we're 100% going to see. I think there's no way we don't.
I would love that so much.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see.
You would have to make it work in a way that made sense. And honestly,
the Multiverse of Madness opens that up for everything.
I was just going to say
Secret Wars.
The Multiverse of Madness is going to open the door for so much to happen. Even Spider-Man No Way Home is going to open a lot of doors.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I know Austin's leading the show. Episode 2 of What If. What would you guys score it at? I know episode 1 wasn't really taken. If I have any advice for you guys, by the way, I would let maybe 3-4 episodes kind of air and then binge watch them. It feels better to watch them back to back since they're so short. That's my advice, because I got to watch the first 3 back to back, and it felt better. Like it made it look. I don't know how to explain it the right way. It just felt right.
Yeah, that's
I
like
don't
the
have that
one
kind of
problem I
self-discipline,
have with What If is that it's too short. It's like I want
loved
more.
how short it was.
A lot of people seem to not like that it's short, or that they feel that it's rushed.
But then they forget that WandaVision had 22-minute episodes. So get the fuck out of here.
No. WandaVision had 15-minute episodes.
I thought it had like 40-minute episodes.
The first couple episodes were like 20. The first couple
They
episodes were
started
like
out
20.
as 20, but then they got longer.
Yeah.
I never watched WandaVision. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, you didn't miss much.
It was
That's the thing,
20,
it was
20,
like
30, 35, 40, 40.
Theo, what about the boys? Have you dabbled
I have
yet?
not. I'm way behind on that.
Sorry, buddy. You gotta go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Take it
It's
easy,
okay.
guys.
I haven't watched The Boys either, so
What?
Whoa.
I
You guys
You
kidding me right
You guys
now?
gotta hop on that. You guys gotta hop on that. Oh no.
Dude, I got so much to watch.
I didn't
Man.
say it
No,
was
no, no,
bad.
no. But I'm telling you guys, like on everything. I don't care what is on your list of movies or TV shows to watch. Drop it all and watch The Boys. Drop it all. Find time for whatever else you have after. Watch The Boys. I promise you'll come back and you'll thank me. You'll be like, Ty, oh my God, you're a genius. Thank you for that wonderful insight. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And recent news came out. I mean, I'm a huge Jensen Ackles fan. I'm an acolyte. And
Oh, that's cute.
they he's in season 3 as Soldier Boy. No, not that one. But what's funny is he was in the running for Captain America originally. He was tapped. He was the front runner to play Captain America before Chris Evans. Robert Downey Jr. talked Evans in to auditioning. Ackles was contractually obligated for Supernatural, so it ended up not working out. But now we get kind of best of both worlds, where Jensen's now playing Soldier Boy, who is a very much spin-off or parody of Captain America. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And
Ill Life with the hot take here: Invincible over The Boys.
I don't think that's
That's the thing, 'cause
absolutely
I just watched
not.
Invincible and it was
Absolutely
so
not.
good.
I think I'm with him on
Absolutely not.
I think they're
Invincible's
about the
great.
same.
Invincible's great, but The Boys is better.
that. The Boys is good, man.
I-
But here's the thing: that's the beauty of animation. What Invincible
more.
can do, The Boys can't. The Boys
Dude,
just
are you
can't.
kidding me? Listen, Austin. The train sequence, right? In Invincible, I loved it, right? Amazing.
Right. You can't do that in
Amazing.
live action.
Bruh.
Opening
That's an
scene of
NC-17 rating right there.
of The Boys. Tell me you can't do that.
What was the opening scene of The Boys? Ah, that wasn't that bad.
Are you kidding me?
In comparison to the train thing is like
I'm
you would
just-
Crazy,
I'm
bro.
just saying,
That
I'm
whole
just
scene
saying,
can't do like
a woman gets literally obliterated.
I think, but here's the thing too with The Boys.
I
right?
think
The
I
Boys
think
is
getting the train trumps that.
but this is the thing about The Boys too. The Boys isn't. It's a dark comedy. It's not like Invincible does have comedic moments, but there's a lot more depth to Invincible.
You know I love The
It feels
Boys.
like.
I mean, I love Invincible.
I love The Boys. I
But-
love The Boys.
I'm just saying I don't
What?
think Invincible is better than The Boys. I
See, it's
I would-
second turns. I don't have a heart attack.
I will see for
dude,
myself.
I'm about to. I'm supposed to be on vacation right now. I'm about to have a heart attack.
So I kind of agree with Il. I think they're both, as far as quality goes, they're both just as good as each other. Not one is like clearly better than the other. I think they're both pretty good. I'm a little more partial towards live action stuff
Me
most of the
too.
time, but I do like the Invincible story more. I find it to be a little more compelling. Not that The Boys isn't, because one thing is I find more compelling doesn't mean the other one isn't. But I don't know. I find like the father-son dynamic, and because Omni-Man is we haven't seen it yet, but he's a pretty he's one of the most interesting characters. He's very Darth Vader-esque, and I love that. And as far as characters go and like their depth and being not just black and white, I think Invincible's better at that. I think a lot of times in The Boys, most of the characters are either just pieces of crap, or pretty much everyone in The Boys, excuse me, I may have said Invincible. The Boys, pretty much everyone in that show is a piece of crap, and there's not really kind of any in between. And that's kind of the point of the show. The point of the show is to be like, all these people we put on pedestals in the media are actually all pieces of crap, and that's the point of that show. And the Invincible kind of has a different kind of vibe to it, and is about something different. And I tend to enjoy the Invincible one, find the Invincible thing a little more compelling. Although I do love both of them.
Yeah. So I know that we had some topics tonight. Austin, I think something was confirmed today. What was that?
You're right. Yeah. Captain. I mean, it was funny. It came out after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like right after people were like, "There's a Captain America 4 in development," but Marvel hadn't confirmed it or anything like that. Oh, today Marvel confirmed it. Captain America 4 is happening with Anthony Mackie. He signed his deal, and it's gonna be from the writer of Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. So.
It's the writer of episode 5 and the main writer.
Right, Malcolm Spellman or something like that.
He's so good. He's so good. He knows the characters so well.
I thought he did a great job with
when
Falcon
you
and the
hear
Winter
him
Soldier, yeah.
when you hear him talk
What he talks about
it, you just know that it's in good hands. It's in very good hands.
Yeah.
I have a question. Who do you guys want the villain to be for Cap 4?
Serpent Society. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking too.
That'd be kind of cool, right, yeah.
Oh, it was. I think Sam's first.
Society before the Civil War, so.
I think it was. Well, it was also. I think wasn't it Sam's like first major villain as Captain America? And wasn't that how the arc went? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've read it. So.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It could be what's his name again?
Zemo?
Yeah.
I think
Or he'll have something to do with it. I think it may be more like of a team thing.
Yeah, that could be where they introduce the Thunderbolts or something.
Yeah.
Or they could be setting up like with Dreyfus's character, Madam Hydra. They could be setting up something for
Dark Avengers
like a Dark Avengers that Sam would have to take on.
Yeah.
Maybe
I would love to know who's on that team.
Yeah.
Like in the MCU.
I'm gonna go with Abomination. What's his name?
U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent.
Yelena.
Zemo, and Yelena would be the start.
And probably someone from the Hawkeye show.
Probably
Kate Bishop. It's like it's just so interesting.
Kate Bishop is more of a lighthearted young Avenger.
Yeah, but I think because they were saying because I think she's gonna be I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of like start her off in a kind of villain slot, kind of like they did Wanda and Quicksilver, and kind of move her because most of the people in the Thunderbolts are kind of like ride that line or jump from one side to the other, and I can see
Echo.
I honestly, I think Serpent Society would be the best.
Yeah, I think so.
The best storyline as far as an introduction to him as Captain America, taking on that aspect, and it would really like showcase his skill as Cap and what he can do, even though he's not a super soldier. So
I agree. I'm kind of with this. I've been wanting this for a while.
But Red Skull
back.
He cannot come back.
Why not?
He can't.
Why not?
Because
he's breaking.
What do you mean?
Johann
he has no
Schmidt, I
soul
guess,
stone protect anymore. The
What?
soul stone is gone.
Well, he could also get plucked from a different timeline.
Put back.
But that's from a different timeline.
Or just a different Red Skull, in the same.
That's the Red Skull. Forget
the
Red Skull.
Look, I don't want Red Skull to come back.
I don't have any interest in them doing Red Skull again, but they could definitely do it if they wanted to.
Where I can see Red Skull being a cosmic threat. Now, because he's already out there in space. Why would he come back to Earth? He's already out there in space.
Yeah, I don't
I
see.
agree.
I don't see a Red Skull return. Honestly,
I don't
I don't.
either, but
And nor
they could do it.
nor would I want it because, I think the way that he was solidified as who he was in Avengers 3 and 4, I just don't think a return would
Be
suffice.
very interesting. Yeah,
I don't think it would
so
be
either.
interesting or suffice
Would
any.
you guys want to see his daughter Sin?
I don't know much about that character.
No, do I.
She's another Sam Wilson Captain America villain that tries
Damn,
to
Okay.
actually,
rebuild
damn,
Hydra.
actually, yeah.
Like I think she
Ty,
even has ties with Serpent Society.
it's Comic World. Anyone can come back. I'd argue the cameo in Avengers.
Doesn't mean they
is meant
should
to
do
be the
that.
future comeback.
Just because they
Yeah.
can doesn't mean they should.
Thank
I
you.
agree.
No,
Hey,
I
I'm with that too, but that's not how
I
Marvel
do not. I think his scenes in Avengers 3 and 4 were meant to bring him back in a way that we find out what happened to him after the events of First Avenger, and
Right.
now he is a servant of Vormir, and that's it. That's the end of that, right? That's the end of Red Skull. He is now. What does he say? He literally quotes it as saying, "I am here to lead people to a treasure I can never
Grasp.
I can never grasp or I can never possess." Right?
Right.
He is stuck there. So if it would have to be an alternate timeline, Red Skull, which I'm not. Again, it definitely could happen. Not saying it couldn't, but would that be cool? Or would you rather see
I
a
would
new
want it.
villain like Serpent Society?
There's a couple villains I want to see bring back. Like Red Skull, I would want to see Crossbones. I really want to see Crossbones.
I'd want to see Crossbones come back because he's
Yeah.
interesting.
I want the
like
leader.
Crossbones.
I want the
Yeah, the
leader.
leader coming back would be cool.
Who?
Or actually using the
He's,
leader
Blake
coming back,
Nelson.
actually using him in some way, shape, or form.
Huh.
I bet you we get something about him in the She-Hulk series, though.
Hope so.
Maybe.
Maybe probably not played by the same guy, but
They need to get the same guy. Well, they don't have to, but it'll be cool if they did. You know.
yeah.
I'm sure they'll get the same guy because
Yeah,
we know that the teacher
She-Hulk's
from
bringing back Abomination. And
Yeah,
all the other-
and also we already the first character other than like Bruce Banner from the Hulk movies that came back was the teacher, the nerd guy, and the nerd guy, computer guy in the movie, but he played the teacher for Peter Parker and Homecoming Far From Home.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, him and Ross.
Blake Nelson as
Ross,
the leader.
yeah.
That's true. Well,
because
hang on.
because
Ross.
the leader is just a green dude, green version of Tim Blake Nelson with a bigger head.
That's
Like-
accurate.
So
Speaking of Abomination, you guys, I'm definitely excited to see. That's also a character I'm very.
did you
excited.
guys see the new clip, like the new 2-second clip of Abomination versus Wong in Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I saw stills of it. Like he looks
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
It looks more like his
it's
older
like,
comic book form, which is really cool.
it's like an evolution, like a lizard sheds their skin or grows their skin, and that's like kind of the way they're going with it.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing. Now, speaking of that, I wouldn't mind actually seeing at some point if they do keep the Spidey movies coming. I'd be interested to see because I think I'm trying to think. Peter's graduated high school at this point, right? Or is he still in high
He's
school?
about to. He's in his senior year.
So I could
Senior
see,
year.
I could see in like either No Way
Spider-Man
Home or something
Portals.
or like No Way Home or something like that. He goes to visit. Oh my goodness! Paul, what's his alma mater in the comics? Columbia.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so goes, and then walks by the science building. Oh, you're Peter Parker. I heard about you. My condolences about Mr. Stark. Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you? Oh, Kurt Connors. Nice to meet you. Like I could see that.
The lizard.
Bring the lizard in, because I'm
Yeah.
the lizard is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. But so I could see them doing something like that, or I'm
Yeah.
Did
still
you like
waiting.
what they did with him in the first Amazing Spider-Man?
Oh, I loved it. I thought Reese Ivins did a phenomenal job.
Yep.
It was good.
I do kind of
can't
wish
wait to
I do
see-
kind of wish his face looked a little bit more like, the animated versions in the comics lizard, where it looks more like an actual lizard as opposed to just, closer
Yeah.
to lizard man than to the lizard.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I feel that. Yeah, that is another great character that I would love to see come back, and it'd be so sick to see if No Way Home utilizes some of that stuff or something from there, because
Right.
that was like one of the best things about the Amazing Spider-Man was that villain. I loved that villain.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them because it hasn't. I don't think it's happened in live action, or if it has, it was like in the '70s show. I'm still waiting on. I know they're doing a movie about him now. Kraven the Hunter, because he's probably my favorite,
Aaron
other
Taylor
than
Johnson.
like, probably Goblin, I would say.
Right,
And
right,
Taylor Johnson.
right.
know.
What's up? We got Black Ops down here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What's up?
Good. Nothing much talking all this fun Marvel stuff here.
Yeah, I caught the Abomination stuff, and I'm hyped for that. I can't wait to see the character be brought back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be super fun. And I'm super surprised that Shang-Chi. Did you guys hear what John Campea had to say?
Yeah, he said it's one of the best comic book movies in a
Well,
while.
first off, let's talk about how
Let's make something real clear.
how
We don't
old
like
he looks, right? And he looks like he's getting a lot older, and it made me laugh. And
He's in his 50s, isn't he?
yeah,
Who?
but he needs to tailor his suits to fit him
Who's
better.
this?
John Campea.
Oh, Campea. Yeah, I guess he is almost in his 50s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but it just made me laugh. I was like, come on, man. How much money you make? Tailor your suits, man. Make them fit nice and tight. This isn't the 60s anymore. We don't wear loose fitting jackets like that anymore. So,
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably how I'll be out of here.
Right.
Because I'm so thin, stuff barely fits me anyway, so I have to get them custom made and whatever. I'm like, oh god.
I gotta give me a good suit. The one I got is not great.
I
so
don't even have a suit anymore, so yeah, you guys.
every
haven't even
man
worn it in a while.
every man should have at least 3 suits.
I would say at least one, but 3. Ooh. I mean,
Yeah.
some would be kind of
Well,
pricey.
for
but you're
different
kinda
for different
pricey.
things, right?
I
Well,
have
true.
I have 7, right?
Wow.
So
Right.
I have black, blue, baby blue, green checkered.
And how many times do you use them, Ty?
I used to work at a bank, so I used to use them.
Okay, well that's
Yeah.
understandable.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, what
Yeah,
we
that
do,
makes sense.
I stream from home, so a T-shirt usually
Yeah.
works out.
Casual wear.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could probably not even do the T-shirt and still get away with it.
Actually, I was talking to the mail.
Hey, somebody asked me to take my shirt off yesterday, Paul. Okay, I'm just going off what the chat wants. Okay.
Did you do it?
No, I
Nope.
did refer them to the OnlyFans though. That would.
Oh,
Paul's
How many
like,
bucks a month?
why
How many
did
bucks a month? What are we talking, Austin? How many bucks a month is your OnlyFans?
I'm not looking for it. It's cheap, 99 cents. Just give me 99 cents. It's like and you get a full
You get a full what?
Just
Oh,
look. Oh my goodness!
Anyways, yeah.
No, I'm laughing because on my end, DL's screen, I'm not sure whether it froze or he was just looking up at Austin like, this guy,
Yo,
I know.
did not
I
mean that.
was like, Paul, why are you judging me? This dude's Instagram is full with his
Whoa,
workout.
whoa! There was no
Okay.
judgment. There was no judgment. I was legitimately curious.
My 99 cent OnlyFans.
So I think one of the topics that's going to take a long time is the movies that inspire us.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
And-
we'll get into
Yeah, and I'm super excited to talk about that. I really am. That's why I came tonight. Because like I know
That's
me.
why I wanted to come in because I'm like,
Yeah.
this is.
Paul.
I have thoughts.
Paul's here, and I know that we're gonna have opposite views, and I love to fight Paul. So
I don't think you have any idea what I'm going to say.
I'm ready for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
entertainment here.
I think I'm
yeah.
going to come out of left field with some stuff here.
No,
I'm gonna grab some
don't take-
popcorn.
no.
I already
Before
know.
that
I hear left field, and I'm just like, no.
I can already name ties for you guys.
Yeah.
Or one of his first ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Let's get into that. Let's talk about. And this is open. It doesn't have to be a comic book film or anything. This is anything. Just the movies that have obviously we all have YouTube channels. We all talk about movies and stuff. Like we all love movies, and they seem to have been a big inspiration to us. So I want to talk about what movies specifically have inspired you guys. I even, because I know Paul is here, comics as well has been a big part for me and Paul. So what comics and things like that. But just kind of go around. I guess we can start with since Ty right there, and I know you're all excited about it. What's one film for you that stands out among the rest?
Yeah, I just gotta step away for a second. So keep talking. I'll be in chat. I just gotta step away for a second, and then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So this one, I'm gonna start with this one because this one I don't think many people know about me, but Titanic.
Yes, okay.
Titanic.
Never
is
let go, Jack.
Titanic is a movie that my mother and I watched together several times, and the story is wonderful. There's a reason that it was, top dog for many years until comic book movies came around, or sci-fi like Avatar. But it means a lot to me. It's more sentimental, I suppose, than anything. But the movie itself is, I think, it's one of those movies that you could not remake. Right? No one in their right minds would ever remake Titanic because it is it is so perfect, so perfectly done.
Bet. I'll take your bet.
What?
Never mind.
The story's beautiful. The themes in it are amazing, right? Like you're on a ship that is going down, and it's going down, yet love still prevails. The argument can be made that there was space for Jack on that plank.
Yeah, Rose killed him. Rose killed Jack. She's a murderer.
But for me, Titanic is my number one most inspirational film. And it always will be. Nothing, no matter what, nothing will ever top Titanic for me.
I like it. I also knew that was going to be Ty's answer.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
talked
I
about it a
knew
little bit before.
Right.
No,
I think it's a great film. I think it's a great film. I mean, it's one of those. I'm not a romantic film person, but it's one of those that it kind of just
It's beautiful.
It transcends the genre. Yeah, it's a movie for everybody.
It was
or not, you're gonna like Titanic probably.
A cultural giant in a way that most movies aren't, and movies nowadays never like. It's a James Cameron. He managed. He's the only director ever that didn't have some kind of massive IP behind him, and he's put out multiple movies that have made $2 billion.
Yep.
Titanic and Avatar. Those are not
Great
IPs.
director.
He hasn't. They're not based on anything. They're not adaptations.
Well,
I think Titanic.
Avatar is now going to become an IP, but I
Well,
know
he created it. Like
Yes,
he's
right,
not
yes.
based off anything.
Yeah,
and
yep.
the Titanic
Yep.
is it. The Titanic's a book. I think it might be.
Well, I mean, you could argue that the Titanic's based on something. I suppose.
No, but that's I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about a like real
Maybe,
life.
maybe.
I think the
Not
movie
not to
is
be
actually.
crude, but
Right,
there,
right,
I
right.
think there is a book. But the way he filmed it, the way that they did what they did with the with the little ship that they take down,
Mhm.
Rose and Jack were never confirmed to be on the boat. That part is definitely fictionalized. However, he took, and I kind of like that, like Man in the High Castle, where they change history, that kind of stuff. So yeah, of course, Jack and Rose were never really on that boat, or not that anyone can prove. But the story that was told is one of tragedy. It's one of love. It's one of unconditional love, right? It's and by the way, that scene where they're going through the ballroom,
Oh,
one take, like not
Yeah.
one take, but that was one single shot, and everything had to go perfect, right? This guy carrying a tray this way, that
Yeah.
shot through the ballroom it's still one of the greatest cinematic achievements as far as film goes in my mind. People have
great.
tried to replicate it, and they simply can't.
I like the scene where Rose just does and drops the the necklace.
Right. Do you like the scene where she shows her? Right. Oh yeah. It used to be a pretty popular scene.
I love
Yeah,
Ty.
it's like-
Ty gave this beautiful, heartfelt speech about
Right.
the connection that
And
he
he's like-
had with his mother about this film and the technicality of the filmmaking.
I know.
And Caiden just goes to draw me like one of your French girls. Like this is definitely
Not that scene.
Yeah,
Not that
yeah.
scene. The end where Rose is like stepping on the boat and she drops the necklace where she's like
Yeah.
she makes this weird
Oh,
groaning
my.
noise to drop the necklace.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you for ruining that.
No, Titanic is fantastic though.
It is a good movie.
man.
It's not a movie for everybody.
Oh,
I think
you.
you would be very hard, whether you enjoy it or not. You'd be really hard pressed to say it's a bad movie because it's not. It's a fantastically made movie. It's makes probably most of the people who watch it cry. And that's there's something to
Yeah.
be said for that.
I still
that's
have the double. It was so long that they
you have
had
two DVDs,
No.
Two
No,
VHSs?
man, two
two
VHSs.
VHSs.
My
was-
buddy.
It was a 2 VHS set.
Yeah.
And like, my man.
My buddy and his.
Look at this shit.
My buddy and my
Wow.
buddy. I used to go over to his house. He was my next door neighbor as well. He was a good friend of mine in my childhood.
They made
And
it
I
a
remember in
double?
his.
Yeah, it's such a long movie that they like split into 3 parts.
Wow. I'm gonna
But
have
the
to
one thing
do
I
that.
respect, I had such a deep respect for Titanic because I was always so interested in the technical side of filmmaking, especially at a young age, and the sheer amount of detail about everything
my
that
God.
Cameron did, literally, and to the point. One of the things that I can speak to that extended cut and speak to that DVD release or that Blu-ray release is the fact that one of the most talked about with regards to the technical side of it issues with Titanic was the sky, was the star chart over that particular portion of the sky was incorrect relative to what it would have been in 1912 when the Titanic went down. So
Yes.
on that extended cut, James, because like just the natural shift of the stars over time due to the expansion of the universe. So Cameron actually fixed the star chart. It is now, if you watch later releases of Titanic, it is now accurate to what you would have seen over the sky or overhead on the Titanic in
Wow.
1912.
Wow.
that's
All
cool.
of the tiny little details on the ship and everything else surrounding it, surrounding the story, I think was what always fascinated me, because the story was still very heartwarming and it was a good story, but I was always, for whatever reason, at a younger age, so attracted to the technical side of it.
Yeah, I was too. I as well. I was a big, especially with James, and for me, kind of the first one was learning about aliens and the stuff they did technically with aliens. That was just, I mean, for the time, revolutionary.
Yeah.
And then the
And
stuff for me, and then for me, it was very much the first two Terminator movies, because
Yeah.
I remember as a kid. This is a cool little special if anyone can ever find it. It was leading up to the release of the Phantom Menace. There was a special that aired on Fox. It was hosted by Sam Jackson called "From Star Wars to Star Wars," something along the lines of that, for the history of industrial light and magic, and it goes from A New Hope to the Phantom Menace, not just on Star Wars, but all of the other stuff they worked on, like T2 and Jurassic Park and The Abyss and Willow and Cocoon and all this stuff. And it's really fascinating to watch how they made all of these technological innovations. And it is, if you guys ever get a chance to find it, it's really cool. And obviously, it is very much still a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Phantom Menace is going to be out in a couple of months. Watch the movie. Like Sam Jackson showing off Maul's double-bladed lightsaber and stuff like that. But it's honestly, if you guys ever want a very brief history on ILM from about 76 to 90, would be about 97 at that point. I really recommend going and searching that out.
Okay, from Star Wars to Star Wars.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I am gonna check that out actually. That's pretty cool.
it was only like a 30-minute special. Like I used to have it on VHS, and I remember seeing all like the old like Taco Bell and Pepsi commercials and stuff like that, and then going to the theaters and seeing Phantom Menace. The huge phenomenon that was. But when we get to my stuff, I'll definitely kind of delve into that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, DL, man, let's go with you. What's a movie that inspires you, that gets you going?
Ooh, man. And I haven't had a lot of time to think about it either, because like I do have a list of like my favorite films, but it's like they're not numbered correctly because I'm like, I don't know what's my number one favorite of all time, so I gotta pick one. Okay, so to avoid being predictable and talk about Star Wars.
Oh, don't worry, I'll be talking a lot about Star Wars when it comes to my turn.
Yeah, Star Wars is a big factor here.
Oh, by the way, Return of the Jedi is my favorite, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about staying in the realm of love stories, Beauty and the Beast. Beauty.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a good one.
Like, Beauty and the Beast to me is like it's the ultimate Disney film. Like, it encapsulates everything about Disney, like every aspect that that Disney has done over the years. Beauty and the Beast has done it to like close to perfection. It has action, it has romance, it has story, it has emotion, bruh. Like, it's everything, man. I'm tired of people talking about Lion King over and over again. No, Beauty and the Beast, man, that's the best Disney film in my opinion. But yeah,
you get me hyped about Beauty and the Beast over here, dude. I love it,
bro. Yeah, and I'm not talking about that one in 2017. No, the one in 1991, the original animated movie from 1991, bruh. The animation in that film still gorgeous to this day. If this movie came out today, nobody would bat an eye because that's how great the animation was. And I think the only Disney film to be nominated for Academy Award. Hello.
It was the only Disney animated movie. It was I think the only animated movie, period,
that got
after or to be nominated for Best Picture. I think they changed the rules after Beauty and the Beast got nominated, so that's why basically the Best Animated Feature category exists as it does today.
Because of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the original French Beauty and the Beast, the black and white movie?
No.
It's very strange. It's a good movie, but it's very strange.
Did you ever watch the show?
No.
There was a show that came out. I'm not sure. Yeah, there was a show that came out. Ron Perlman was the Beast.
Oh, yes!
And Linda Hamilton was Belle.
Yes!
Oh, boy.
Yes, you heard that correct, Paul. Linda Hamilton was Belle.
Yeah.
I think it only ran for like a season or something.
Was the Beast.
Yeah.
Very weird.
That was nuts.
Dude, that's wild. So then obviously, what's your take on the live action? Beauty and the Beast, which, by the way, I still haven't seen.
Nor
You
have
still
I.
haven't seen it?
No, I. That's how the Alfie's about it. He's gonna laugh at it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what?
God!
What was that?
That was
That was actually
Satan.
Caiden's porn.
That was Satan himself.
Whoa.
That was Ron Perlman.
Well, he did live in
Beauty and the
the
Beast.
he did live in the same, the same place as Satan at one point. That's kind of how Hellboy works.
But yeah, okay, so the live action one. Okay, so I don't hate it. There's some stuff. There's certain aspects of it that I think are really good. Okay, I'm gonna try not to rant about it. Okay, all right. So I think the Beast, the actor who played the Beast, was really good. I think all the Lumiere, Cogsworth, and everyone, I thought they were great. I really did like Luke Evans. For the most part, the cinematography was really good, and the songs were fine. There's only like a couple of them that I thought were really good. Well, okay, what I really didn't like about the movie was Emma Watson as Belle. I thought she was really bad.
Really?
Yeah. One thing, I thought she was miscast. And I love Emma Watson, Harry Potter and all that stuff. I think she's really good, but I just felt like
I love Emma Watson.
Yeah, I just felt like she didn't fit that role. I felt like she was trying too much to be like a independent, or I feel like there was a slight agenda with how her character was written. And also the auto-tune with her singing was, oh my god. No. No.
It was interesting.
The CGI for the Beast was kind of wonky in a couple of places, and I don't know. There was just the whole time I was thinking, this is a decent attempt, but it's like I still think I would rather watch the original. It's like they're trying really hard to be the darker, more sophisticated version of the animated, but it's like you're trying too hard, man. Like you don't need to be so progressive. You don't need to make the story so complicated, because the original story was really good. If it ain't broke,
just find
fix
out it was. Yep. But then I think also then you have like the trouble of like, for me, like the Lion King live action thing, that was just the animated movie. Oh god.
What's interesting for me about the live action one, like that's interesting, is because that was part of that big massive live action push that Disney's did over the course of, what was it, about 5 years ish? Go back to like
It all
Cinderella.
started with Alice in Wonderland.
Sort of, but I wouldn't really consider it like starting with Alice. I would actually start it with something after that, because Alice was effectively supposed to be, maybe Cinderella would probably be a better comparison. That was about 2015, right? So you had was it 3 or 4 live action movies in that period? You had Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. Oh no, Jungle Book and Lion King. So Jungle Book
and Maleficent.
Yes, Maleficent. But again, like I'm talking about, like the sort of closer to shot for shot adaptations of their older ones, is what I'm talking about. Because what's interesting is, you get to Jungle Book and the Lion King, and again, to speak to the technical capacity, right? Who's the director of both Jungle Book and Lion King?
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. And because of the experience that Jon Favreau had, so take win-lose here, the ultimate win-lose. Because of the technical experience that Jon Favreau and his team got on Jungle Book and Lion King, they were able to apply that to The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Combine the experience they had with the full previs, and then combine that with stagecraft and LED walls and things like that with The Mandalorian, and you get the sort of the technical marvel and the beauty of what we got in that show. So I kind of take those films as a wash, because I'm like, even if I don't like them, I'm like, you know what? I'm thankful for the experience that it gave Favreau and the team.
So
Right.
what you're saying is that Jungle Book and Lion King were demo reels for the Mandalorian effects.
I actually, and here's the thing: yes and no, But I will also say this: I actually believe in Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian. In the scene when they're
Hello,
standing on top of the
Shri.
when they're standing on top of the truck fighting the locals.
Right.
I genuinely believe, if we're talking about demo reels, I genuinely believe that was a dry run for the ILM guys to work on Indiana Jones 5, because it looks like something out of, to me at least, it looks like something out of Indiana Jones. Watching them fight, just in a Star Wars context, but watching them fight on the roof of the truck, I thought was really, really interesting.
You're talking about this scene, right? Hold on.
The what, Caden?
It's
I think he's trying to queue up a photo of the scene from Chapter 15 I'm talking about.
There we
This
go.
one,
Oh, there we go.
right?
Literally, dun dun dun
Yeah,
dun dun.
I got that
Like
vibe.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's
That's right.
that's what clicked in my head when I watched that episode the first time. So I do kind of consider them a wash. And the one thing I will say about the Lion King, that I respect its casting with regards to the live action stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
God,
don't respect the James Earl Jones one. You should have recast.
I don't. I agree. I actually don't think they should have brought James Earl Jones back. Not because I dislike James Earl Jones, but I think they really should have kind of just made a clean break from the old cast. I really think is what they should have done personally. But that's just me. I love James Earl Jones. I mean, there was another movie that came out in 2019 that he was in that I'm glad they brought him back for. But that's a whole other discussion.
I actually liked the live action Jungle Book because I didn't really care for the original one, so I felt like the live action one did a little bit more for me. So that's one of the few live action ones that I think are as good and maybe a little better than the original as the Jungle Book, in my opinion. And Cinderella, because I didn't care for Cinderella either, and the live action one I liked. So
okay. Yeah, Lion King was never about casting. It was about story and animation until it got to the live action one, when then it was all about casting.
What story?
Exactly. Let's see. All right, and then let's see. We got Caiden. Caiden, dude.
What's thinking. I think I have a list for me.
You get one. Do you understand? You get one, or you're out.
I can't choose one of these five.
Running the show, right?
I have the power now. Yeah, don't you see? The board says I am the tie now. And that's
okay. Yeah.
I recognize the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
Thank you, Kate.
So I was talking to Austin last night about this, but I was saying, for me, for comic book movie based, it was Batman '89 and Batman Returns, even though those were the movies that we watched for Christmas. I don't know why we did. It was a very dark Christmas to watch those two movies.
The latter I understand.
Yes, and then the animated Lion King, and then The Wiz with Diana Ross, and then I would say Aladdin as well. Aladdin, Lion King, and those five are the ones those are the five that inspired me to go into film and stuff like that.
Okay.
Nice.
A lot of Batman and animation. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's it was because for me, it was just because just visually for me, I liked Tim Burton's take on Batman. It was very style choices were very cool, and then the whole aspect of musicals and animation mixing were cool with Aladdin, and then musicals just in live action in general. The Wiz with a story like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, with majority of an all black cast, was very inspiring. And then and Batman's one that got me into comic book movies, and that's my spiel.
Right, that's my spiel. Yeah, I like the Batman Keaton movies. I think they were cool.
The Keaton movies had a lot to do. Were one of the movies when I was watching growing up, and admittedly, the Schumacher films too. The movies that made me fall in love with movies and with Batman and stuff like that. Because my first experience with superheroes wasn't like I think the first comic I ever read was Death of Superman, and that's always stuck with me for a long time. As I've gotten older, that comic isn't that great. It's fun, but it's not that great of a comic. But it is what got me into it. But what got me into superheroes was not those comics. What got me to read comics was not my dad having comics around the house. It was Superman 78 and Batman 89. Those were the movies that got me into superheroes. Those aren't what I'm going to talk about when you get to me, but those I agree with. Or I'm kind of on the same page as Caden. Like those movies helped me get into the things I'm into today.
I feel like, and actually, I'm with you on more so. For me, it was the Schumacher movies. I mean, I was born in '97, so those were the closest, I guess, most recent out before Batman Begins and stuff. So, Batman Forever was a big thing for me. I still love Batman Forever, and I love, I think that one does a great job with Bruce Wayne and things like that. But then I also did like I honestly, if I think about it,
What is that from?
I know. That's what I was asked. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, that's not from the comic book.
Yeah,
that is not from the comic. That is
No,
not
I
from
just
the comic.
I found it on Google and I was like, this is a great picture.
This looks like a poster, like a recreation of a
It's either
poster.
a poster or like maybe it's from a more modern run. Sort of
The
book.
imagery and the art in the Death of Superman stuff is fantastic, and the story itself is fine. It's just not very deep when you think about it. The Hunter Prey series that came out afterwards, which is one of also the first comics I ever read, that adds a little more depth to the story. But even then, it's still not that crazy deep of a story. It's just kind of explains why Doomsday is crazy, and it works. It's fine, but
it's sort of
it's
less. It's in the broader sense. It's less about
There it is. That's the fold out panel when you have the comic. You can unfold it, and that's the.
And not just that, but it's also
page.
It's also like Oh yeah, I love that. But in the broader sense, what I thought about was, it was less of that book, and you go into Funeral for a Friend and all that stuff.
Funeral for a Friend is better, I think.
It's less about Superman. That whole story is less about Superman, more about what Superman means to the world. That's how I always interpreted it.
And the Funeral for a Friend is more interesting to me because it's about what is the world like without Superman and how frantic will we be to replace it. And that's, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but that's one of the things that I feel like is missing from the recent movies is we don't feel like he's missing. We feel like, you know what I mean? I never feel like that. Exactly. And I'm not going to pretend for a second. The Death of Superman comic book is beloved by millions of people, and it was a cash grab. It was a marketing move. Like, hey, we're losing out to Marvel right now. We're not selling as many books. This, that, and the other thing. We need to make a big high level or a big like publicity move. Let's kill Superman and get a bunch of people to buy comics. That's literally what it was, and that's all it was. It was executed well and as good as they could, but that's what it was. But that's why I think Funeral for a Friend is a little bit more like in depth and better of a comic because it's like dealing with, like we said, trying to replace who steps up when the best is gone. Because Superman in all comics, every comic you ever read, Doomsday Clock, which just came out, finished coming out about a year and a half ago, which admittedly again isn't the greatest comic, it's fine. But every time Superman is the best. And he always is. He is always the best. He always does the right thing. And that's why people find him boring, but that's what I always find so compelling about him. And trying to find someone to replace the person who – that's what the new run on Superman and Action Comics from Philip Kennedy Johnson's kind of about. It's his son trying to fill those shoes and understanding how difficult it is to always, always give your best and do your best for others. And that's what Superman is. And seeing people try to replace that in Funeral for a Friend is what makes that, I think, not as iconic as Death of Superman, but a better comic overall to read.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know how we got into that.
Yeah, good. I mean, I always liked. I like the Death of Superman a lot, actually.
I do too. But I can admit it's not like the craziest best comic ever.
Right. But also, I know. Yeah, go ahead, Dio.
No, I'm just saying that was one of the first Superman comics I read was Death of Superman.
Yeah, it was the same for me. But also, I know like me and Paul like Superman for different reasons. You know, like
Yeah,
I don't
well,
like.
yeah. I know Austin isn't a fan of like the same Superman that like he doesn't find him interesting. The reasons I find Superman interesting, Austin finds kind of boring. Which I mean I
Yeah,
get
like
it.
I find All Star Superman is not really my.
And I think that's
forte.
like if we were to
All-Star
ask,
Superman for me, like All-Star Superman for me, it is one of, as crazy and nuts as that story is, everything surrounding Superman in that story. If I want to show somebody in a comic book form what I love about Superman, that's like the first thing I reach for.
I know that's
Because
what a lot of
if
people.
that's for me.
the
Yeah.
two comics that like if I could recommend, because we said we were gonna get into comics a little bit, but if I'm recommending
Yeah.
two Superman comics, if you only read two Superman comics ever, and
I'm
not
gonna take
counting
a guess
Kingdom
what the
Come,
second one is.
I'm not gonna count Kingdom Come because that's like it is a Superman story, but it's also like everybody. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But All Star Superman, that is I think objectively nothing's objective, but is the best Superman comic ever. And Morrison is a genius. And what do you think the second one I'm going to say is?
Superman for All Seasons.
No, that's a great one though. I think the origin. I get kind of bored of Superman origins because there's so many of them, and they're all
Okay.
good. Birthright is really good. All Seasons is really good. What's it called?
Secret Origin.
Secret Origins. Jeff Johns. That one's really good. But Superman Brainiac. That is one of the absolute. And it was right in the middle of Johns. And people talk about because Johns messed a lot of stuff in the Snyderverse. Do you think Jeff Johns doesn't understand comic books? You've never read a Jeff Johns comic.
Jeff Johns understands comic books.
He's one of the most prolific and best writers ever, and he just
shouldn't have been on a film set.
Yeah, film set because it got weird but
yeah.
Superman Brainiac is the story you know Brainiac for. The story you know of him is what Jeff Johns cultivated and created in that story, and it has my favorite Superman moment ever is, or one of my favorite Superman moments ever. It's Brainiac's beat the crap out of him. He's like, no, you're not going to take my home again. You're not going to take my home again. Brainiac's like, yeah, I am, and he's just beating the crap out of him. And Jonathan Kent's just standing in the farm out at the Kent residence, has a heart attack and dies. Superman senses Jonathan's heart stopped beating, and it gives him the strength to go, no, I'm losing more. I'm not losing to you again. I'm not losing anything to you ever again. I just lost my dad again, and then he just beats the shit out of Brainiac, and it's one of the best moments ever to see him like rise up from his knees and be like, be Superman we know. He's like, no, I'm not going to take this crap, and you're not taking my home again.
And the animated version wasn't bad either. The animated version, Superman Unbound, wasn't bad either.
Oh, I have watched that, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it.
Superman Unbound is basically Brainiac, I think, with a couple of changes.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick Carr, for the $2 super chat.
Yes,
guys, what's your favorite comic?
Oh gosh,
my favorite comic is, is either Kingdom Come or I'm looking at Kingdom Come or Court of Owls.
Okay, I love Court of Owls.
Oh, cool.
Mine's another Batman story. It's my favorite. If we're talking superhero comics, because I have a whole other thing I could talk about with non-superhero comics, but because I'm still trying to delve into that. But for me, for superhero comics, my favorite is Batman: The Long Halloween. That's my favorite.
It's incredible, yeah. It really is good. I'd say, and if you ask me what I think the best comic book of all time is, it's Kingdom Come. Alex Ross and Mark Waid, Kingdom Come is the best comic book of all time. Non-superhero, superhero. It exemplifies what all the characters are about, what they all are, who they all are. It's told from like one of the most interesting perspectives ever. It's like the Spectre. He brings Norman McKay along with him. He's like, I need kind of a tether to the real world while I judge all of the people of Earth and all of these heroes because I need this tether, and I'm going to take you along with me. And it's like that's why we're able to see it.
I love how we got the design of Norman McKay. Did you ever read the foreword?
He's he was a good
Alex
friend.
Ross's no, he was Alex Ross's dad.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Alex Ross's dad. I knew he was with Ross somehow
because he was kind of based on. Yeah.
Adam Silvestri with the $5 super chat.
Good man.
Kingdom Come is the best comic of all time.
Kingdom Come is
Agreed.
great.
Mhm.
It's great.
And it,
Thank you, Adam and Nick. You guys are two of our best viewers. You're always here. Integrity, Shri, you guys are absolutely amazing.
integrity. But
I
like,
love
it's
integrity.
if anyone in the chat doesn't really know what Kingdom Come is about, it's a couple
That's so
decades
good.
into the
I
future.
haven't.
All of our
Me
favorite
too.
heroes are kind of older or broken down or kind of just like, I think Green Lantern's in this big emerald tower in the sky watching the
Alan
space and
Scott
not
is,
facing
yeah.
anything. And you got Hawkman is keeping like patrol over like the Northwest or something. It might not be that exactly, but
And
for the most part, all
Orion.
the characters we know and love have gone into hiding for one reason or another, because there was a new crop of heroes that came up, and all the people in the world were like, no, we like the way they handle stuff because they might be brutal, but they're getting stuff done. And Superman was like, Batman has like a bunch of robots all around Gotham doing a lot of the work, even though Batman's like 70, 80 years old, so he can't really do it anymore. But Gotham is much safer than it had been because of him. And Superman's just kind of in like Kansas chopping down trees and stuff. And then a bomb gets dropped, and Magog, who is a villain in a lot of stuff, he's kind of like an anti-hero in this. He's one of the heroes that takes the place of everyone. And things go to crap, and Superman's like, "Oh, it's whatever. It's what you wanted." And Magog goes to Superman. He's like, "You should not have left." He's like crying in tears. He's like, "Superman, they may have wanted me to do this without you, but I couldn't. And look what's happened now. You need to come back." And it's about Superman coming back.
The Superman Shazam fight
is incredible.
Is one of my favorite comic moments. Period. Finding out like there's a twist involving Shazam. I don't want to get into it for our readers.
That's one of my favorite things. Yeah,
it is. Oh my goodness, it was so good in the way that the art is done. For those who've never seen Alex Ross's work in our chat,
have you
Alex
ever read,
Ross paints, and
American
he does a
Alien,
phenomenal.
Paul?
I have read American Alien. It's not my favorite,
story.
but it's good. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Is that American Alien? That's the one where he like. Maybe I'm thinking of it. Is that Michael J. Straczynski or whatever?
No, that's Max Landis.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of,
the Michael J. Straczynski one is the one where he's walking down the street or whatever, and he's like, Oh wait, is it American Alien? The one where he's like, I'm not gonna use my powers. I'm just gonna walk down the street and be like in the. I don't remember which one that is. Sorry, I'm getting off on that. But Lord of the is that the Lord of the Rings?
That was that was a trilogy of books.
I have
Those
all three Lord of the Rings
read.
books for some reason.
But yeah, Kingdom Come is. I think if you want a bunch of good stuff from all the characters you know and love, and to see like what Superman is like all about and how he deals with like the struggles of being Superman. There's another Superman. It's another Alex Ross drawn. I don't know if he wrote it. I don't know who wrote it. Peace on Earth. It's like Superman's trying to.
Yeah, that was out.
Solve,
that was.
It's like it was one of the big questions. Yeah, it's one of the big questions where it's like it might be Paul Dini. I could not be Batman.
I know Dini did. I think Dini did the Batman one. I don't know if he did.
Yeah, War on Crime. But so Peace on Earth is same art as Kingdom Come, and it's people were always like, well, if Superman's so fast and so powerful, why can't he just solve world hunger? And that's about why solving world hunger is more complicated than a guy just flying around bringing everybody food, because governments get involved in this, that, and the other thing. That comic is also fantastic.
Yeah. Him and Dini co-wrote the book.
Okay, so yeah, I knew it was Paul Dini. Paul Dini, you guys would know from he did a lot of he did the Batman the Animated Series stuff with Bruce Timm.
And of course his best work, Star Wars Ewoks.
Wow.
Oh God.
I kid, of course, but seriously, that is where Dini got his start, and that's actually where, if you watch a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff on Batman the Animated Series, if you watch some of the more recent documentaries, they talk about how Dini kind of had a bit of buzz around him because he worked with Lucas on Ewoks.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah,
Learned something.
I'm with Ill Life. I got two for me. Obviously, Dark Knight Returns. It's like my all-time. Dude, this story of just like everything from the stuff that happens with the Joker to the stuff that happens with Superman to just that. It is. I love it. It goes off the rails, and that's what I love about it. And then also, Another Batman story I love, Batman Arkham Asylum, and just kind of the psychological horror
Yep.
that's in that one.
A serious house on serious earth.
Yeah,
Dave
exactly.
McKeon,
Yeah,
one of
and
the
Grant Morrison.
coolest artists I've ever seen.
One of the scariest Jokers ever.
Yes. That's what I liked about it is that was the Batman that like added like supernatural.
Dude made
haunting
Maxie
stuff to it. I
Zeus
was like,
scary.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
usually, other than I think some of the Tom King stuff and James Tynion stuff is just fine, but the entirety of Grant Morrison run and the entirety of Scott Snyder's run, or anything Grant Morrison or Scott Snyder has touched for Batman, you will pick it up, you will read it, and you will love it because Snyder's a little more like your traditional Batman, like spooky, like kind of like hardcore, going out and fighting crime and stuff. Grant Morrison is a little more supernatural with the way his stories go, and they're hard to follow. Like if you've ever read Final Crisis, I've read Final Crisis 5 times, and I still don't get some or understand some of the stuff that happens. And I get confused. It's a very confusing book. But with that said, if you ever want to read a Justice League comic, just read Morrison's run. Just read his 4 or 5 volumes.
The JLA stuff from the 90s?
Yeah, the Tower of Babel.
That's good.
Rock of Ages, which is all the Dark Side stuff you guys know and love. That's where it's come from. Yeah. And Final Crisis, that is basically the what if the Rock of Ages thing actually happened. And it wasn't just a far-flung future.
Final Crisis is one of my favorite things to read.
I love it. It's confusing as hell, but I love it. If you're new to comics, do not let Final Crisis be the first one you read. For the love of God, do not.
Someone tried to explain it to me because I still haven't read Final Crisis. I'm aware of some of the big moments, like what happened with Batman and the stuff with Batman, Darkseid, and stuff like that. But like I'm familiar with that. But I'm just whoa.
Have you read Rock of Ages?
Rock of Ages, I read a while ago.
It's basically like Rock of Ages, but vastly expanded throughout the whole universe, and it's like not just Green Arrow and Atom or whatever going through that kind of wasteland, but it's really good.
But guys, unfortunately, I gotta take off. I've kind of taken the week off and going to New Hampshire and doing my thing and stepping back for a while. Just want to come in and talk with you guys for a little bit. But as always, guys, remember, show some love, send some super chats, support these guys. Austin's been doing a great job hosting. Paul, stick around after and talk to Austin.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you all so much for being here tonight. Panels are panels, and panels with you guys are amazing, and I love each and every one of you, all the viewers, and just everyone. So thank you, and I will be back starting on Monday. So I will. I'll see you then.
All right, peace, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
All right.
See you, Ty.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy.
Never mind. But yeah, I agree. Finally, he's gone. I'm in charge. Never mind. I'm not in charge. No, I haven't read the Rock of Ages stuff, so I don't know. But you were saying like you said, don't start with Final Crisis.
Do not start with Final Crisis. Do not start with anything. Don't start with anything Grant Morrison's wrote, except maybe the Arkham Asylum one, because that one's pretty entry level.
So, what would you recommend for people who are starting to get into comics?
For what? For Batman, Superman, Justice League, or just all of them all together? Like, what?
I guess just Superman, Justice League, anything.
If you're gonna get into Superman, I would say read Birthright. It's not the canonical origin anymore, but it's fantastic, and it's pretty much the same as it is now. It's not much different. So Superman, I'd say Birthright by I think it's
oh my goodness.
I have it sitting over. I can.
Mark Waid, I think, wrote Birthright, didn't he?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Mark Waid. and I think Lionel Francis Yu is
Yeah,
the
Lionel
art.
Francis Yu did the art. Yeah,
And
I'm
then
more partial to Secret Origin myself, but I do
Secret Orange
respect
is good.
Birthright as well.
And then for Batman, I would say you could just start with the Snyder run. Honestly, the Scott Snyder
Oh,
run.
yeah.
Court of Owls. It's not the origin, but then 0 Year and Secret.
Zero City, like Dark City, Secret City, all that stuff.
Dark
Yeah, if
Secret.
you
Yeah, Secret
read
City.
the
That's what I
first,
mean.
like, if even though it's a lot of books, if you read the first 5 volumes of the New 52 Snyder run,
You'll get everything.
you're gonna have yourself a grand old time.
And then for the Justice League, read Jeff Johns' Justice League. It's sitting right here on my desk, actually.
Or like the New 52 Justice League.
Yeah, New 52 Justice League. Read this. This is the best and easiest to digest origin for Justice League. It's all the ones you know and love. It's Superman, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Barry Allen, Flash, Aquaman, all that stuff. And then once you've read like this and you get a better understanding of like where it's just like the Justice, like I said, Grant Morrison's Justice League is the best, but it's like it just kind of throws you into it and jumps into it. And just like most Grant Morrison things, he doesn't really try to over explain stuff. He just
It also helps, like, especially like in Morrison's JLA run when that started, like that was like 96, 97. It also helps, like that JLA run was coming off a rather far, like, as far as I can remember, rather large event in the comics, like just preceding it, like at least for like Batman and a couple of the other characters. So I think that's probably why.
I think that might have been right after the Batman when Gotham gets turned into like a crater or whatever.
No Man's Land. I think that was Land. Yeah, it was right. I think it was like right around the same time.
Yeah, and then Morrison, like this is just kind of talking about. It's great, but Morrison did a great job of rolling with some of the canonical like punches that the weird choices they were making at DC at that time. Like they made Superman all like electric and blue and made him like pure energy, and that's not something Morrison wanted to do. But if you read the comics with that Morrison has done with Superman like that, he does interesting things with him and keeps the character intact. As for the other stuff, Superman stuff during that time, probably you don't need to read it. It's not that great. But Morrison always rolled with the punches really well and did his thing. Still does. But yeah, so for the three major like DC stuff, just Snyder's run, Birthright, or even Secret Origin, like TW is saying, and then the Jeff Johns Justice League New 52, Volume 1.
Gotcha.
Cool. And speaking of that, Black Ops, let's go to you. Let's do what's a movie a movie that inspires you? It can be comic book or not, and why.
Man, I was trying to think about this because I did not know you guys were talking about this when I joined. So I've been kind of thinking, like, you guys were talking about, like, what movies you have seen over and over again. I mean, I kind of really like the boxing movies and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I would have to say Rocky because it's such a great film, and obviously it started a huge franchise that's still around, I guess, today with Creed. But yeah, I mean, they're like really interesting stories, and most of the ones that are actually good for boxing are well done. They're like a little bit more than boxing. They're like more of the films kind of revolve around kind of like what's going beyond the ring, and I kind of think that's like really interesting. And I think like another movie that does it really well is $1 Million Baby. That movie is like That's another great one. I think that's like probably my second favorite boxing movie. Yeah. It's a very emotional story, especially with everything going on with it. I think it's I can't remember who's the main actress.
Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Swank and,
that is an amazing movie.
Yeah. It's wild, but definitely I like those because not only do they have good boxing, but they're very emotional stories, and I kind of like those. But I guess that'll be it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I love boxing movies. I love there's one, The Fighter. I love The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and
Christian Bale. Yeah, that's another good one.
That's one of my favorites. There was one that came out. There was a time like it was probably I think around when The Fighter came out. That was like a bunch of boxing movies were being made. They did The Fighter. They did Warrior.
Oh yeah, that was a decent one.
Southpaw. That was the one I remember. I saw Southpaw.
I've never seen Southpaw.
I've always wanted to see it. Yeah.
I thought that was probably one of the most generic boxing movies I think I'd ever seen. And that thing, like, it was just like, it was good performance on. Well, first of all, it was Jake Gyllenhaal playing a role that apparently Eminem was supposed to play.
Oh boy, I don't know
Oh,
about
he
that one.
was. Yeah, he was.
Eminem was gonna make his movie comeback with Southpaw, and like 3 months before production started, he's like, I don't want to do the workouts. Just cast somebody else. And so
That's
basically,
funny.
you have Jake Gyllenhaal acting like Eminem in the movie.
Yeah.
And so he kind of talks like Eminem and like has slang, like Eminem and stuff.
Because they probably wrote the script for Eminem, so I mean,
right,
I
exactly.
Get it. They weren't expecting this last minute change, but I think, dude, he got ripped for that. Like, he absolutely got ripped for that.
Oh, he was shredded.
He
Yeah,
was shredded.
So he looked the part, but I don't know, like speaking it, it was kind of weird a little bit at first, but I'll take it. I'll take it. It was a decent story.
Right. I thought it was interesting, and then it was the director of Training Day, so I mean, it had good people behind it. It just felt, I don't know, it just felt very generic to me.
Felt off.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Hands of Stone, where Usher was Sugar Ray Leonard?
And it against Roberto Duran.
Oh, that's
I never saw that movie,
yeah.
but I know the story of Roberto Duran and
that was okay. Is that I can't remember. I think I saw that. I know they made like multiple versions of that movie, but I think
there was a movie, Hands of Stone, that Usher played Sugar Ray, and it was De Niro was the coach.
The coach, yeah.
And
I did see that. That was a decent movie.
Character, I think.
That was a wild movie. I did not expect that to be kind of like his story, but like, wow, he's had an interesting life.
Yeah.
Edgar Ramirez. Jeez.
What was I gonna say? I never I kind of got so far into the comics. I wanted to talk about my movie. So, ignoring all I could say whatever I want about Star Wars or comic book movies, but so the movie that, if you ask me what the two best movies on my 1 and 2, they flip flop, but it's always those two best movies of all time. That if I had to watch two movies for the rest of forever, it would be No Country for Old Men and 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave is the only movie that I've ever watched and stood up and literally was like, yes, oh my God, yes. There's a moment where he's he's being accosted by one of the overseers, and the overseer keeps making him rebuild this house differently, and he's like, dude, just leave me alone, please. And the overseer threatens him with the whip, and he pushes the overseer down and takes the whip and hits him with it. And I literally got up off my couch because he had gone through so much shit.
That was Paul Dano, was that overseer, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It was Paul Dano.
Is he going to be in the Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Ridley.
Yeah,
he was very good in Prisoners too.
And I stood up off my couch. It's the only time I've ever done this, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" And then I was like, "Oh no, what is about to happen to him because he just did this?" And the following scene is it's heart wrenching in the most real way, and that's a hard movie to watch. I've only watched it a couple of times because it's fantastic, but it is a difficult movie to watch. And it's done very well from Steve McQueen, I believe it is.
Yes.
And Chiwetel, I can never say his name correctly.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Ejiofor, he's fantastic in it. I think the ending is all right. I don't love the ending where he kind of gets Brad Pitt. His character kind of comes in and does some things, and I wish it didn't. I almost wish it would. I don't know. I don't think it's the greatest ending, but the entire movie up until that point is heart-wrenching and fantastic, and a very harrowing look into what it was like to be a black man during that time. And it was just as horrifying as it could be, and is as terrible as you've ever heard. And
it's crazy.
So to move away from that a little bit, not get too hard into that. No Country for Old Men, I think, is the best movie of all.
Which is another upper free.
That's a really good movie. I really liked it.
No Country for Old Men it's it's a movie that there's no winners, there's no losers.
No.
Your solace in that movie by the end of it. I'm gonna spoil it a little if you don't want to hear any spoilers about No Country for Old Men. The best thing that happens in that movie is Tommy Lee Jones is able to retire. There's a moment right at the end where you're like, oh, is he going to get killed? And he
I
doesn't.
thought he was.
We've all seen enough. I'm 2 days from retirement movies, you know.
And he doesn't, and he makes it home, and he gets to go. Man, this has gotten ahead of
my road.
Yeah, I can't do anything anymore. I get to go home, and kind of like that's my victory. I get to go home at the end of the day. But the cat and mouse chase between Josh Brolin's character and what's his name?
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem's character.
God, he plays.
Javier Bardem is the most terrifying villain.
He plays
of any
it perfectly. He plays it perfectly.
He smashes it, and then it's just like the movie continues to hit you with like, this is just what happens in life. The absolutely horrible guy. Sometimes he wins, but then he gets some kind of weird comeuppance in the form of getting in a car accident where he lives, but he's like gets his arm broken and crap, and it's just like this is life, and that's what it's showing you. And when you get into crap, it's not necessarily going to work out all the time because it's a movie, and it's just seeing these people and they're like, it's just so incredibly interesting. The Coen brothers are unmatched, and that movie is so good, and I could watch it over and 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 over again, and never be bored, and never be disinterested. It builds suspense in a way that maybe some movies do it as well, but no movie does it better. It's just so good. It's an
amazing movie for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I love No Country for Old Men. That's one of my favorite movies for sure. All right, TW. Oh no, go ahead. Yeah. What do you got? What are you gonna say?
I don't know if you guys want to hear what I had to say.
No,
we got hot takes. Hot takes.
I want to hear the hot take.
Yeah.
I got popcorn. I'm ready.
I don't want to crap when it was parade. I don't like No Country for Old Men, but I do think Javier Bardem was great in that movie. I do like Tommy Lee Jones. I just couldn't get with it, man. It was hard. It didn't keep my attention that much. But you guys, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. I know a lot of people love it. It's got a lot of awards and stuff like that. But it's not for me. And then 12 Years a Slave. It's a very well made movie. The performances are great. I just don't want to see another slave movie again because I'm just tired of them. I
get that.
Yeah, I always saw the movie once, and I'm like, nope, don't want to watch it again. But it's well made. I just can't take it anymore. But very well made movie. 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel it. No, I mean, that's the thing is like, that's why I like doing the panels. Like, I would hope we don't all like the same
hive mind.
In the same, right, exactly. But no, I mean, so with No Country for Old Men, what is it for you about that like, you said is it just the
it just doesn't grab your attention? You said,
yeah.
I felt like the pacing wasn't very good and I don't know, the story. I don't know, the story wasn't that engaging to me, and it was in parts it was kind of hard to follow. But yeah, I guess that's just me. I know I'm like in the minority on that. I just felt like it was hard.
I can understand that.
Yeah, no, I can see that because Paul made a good point. Look, it's a movie where nobody really wins, even though Tommy Lee Jones and stuff does retire. So like,
right,
it's not necessarily an enjoyable movie. You know, like it's definitely for like I would guess like hardcore movie buffs, that will watch anything. I would say that because it's no happy ending. There's no happy ending. There's no really like light at the end of the tunnel or anything. Like it's a pretty brutal film.
I felt hollow after watching it. Maybe
I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, it was like what the heck? It was just a lot going on in that movie, and it was like, whoa. You just kind of felt like,
It was a lot. I'm just like, wow. I need a break.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. I mean, like, there's movies like that, like No Country. Another for me, There Will Be Blood is.
There Will Be
lot to
Blood
take in.
is
That's
fantastic.
another great
I think that
movie. I
movie's harder
liked
to
it.
watch. And the reason
Yeah,
I think
you
There
talk
Will Be
about you
Blood,
feel hollow after that movie. After I watched that movie, I'm like,
the reason I think
It
There
was
Will
just
Be
a
Blood
lot.
is harder to watch, and I could be proven wrong. I don't have anything in front of me, but I'm pretty sure There Will Be Blood is like 30 minutes longer than No Country for Old Men, and I think you feel
long.
every 30 minutes of that. And
It's
I
on
could be
Netflix,
wrong.
right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it is on Netflix. Yeah. That's and talk about somebody brought up Paul Dano. Paul Dano in that movie.
Yeah.
Man. Oh,
He's
heartbreaking.
an underrated actor for sure. He plays like every role he does. I think he does it in like a very unique way, and it's like it's very interesting. I first kind of saw him act in Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and also Jake Gyllenhaal, and I thought everyone in that movie was like phenomenal. And it was just like it was such a dark story, and at the end it just left you like also like whoa, that's a very dark movie for sure.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood is 36 minutes longer than No Country for Old Men.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's a brutal. That is a brutal. Yeah.
Anyone else want milkshakes?
Is anybody else?
I will drink your milkshake.
Oh God.
I love it.
That scene, bro. Yeah. Have you seen There Will Be Blood?
One time.
I've only
So-
watched it twice, but because it's such a it's a harrowing movie and it's long as shit, so it's why.
I feel like the longest movie I ever saw was, of course, the Snyder Cut, and honestly, I could probably watch that more than like There Would Be Blood or something like that, because the pacing's obviously better, but
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and the
it's
Snyder
crazy.
Cut, you can, like I said, I think there's, and it's not to say like they're bad movies because I love No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, but I can admit
It's
they're
an
not
emotional
enjoyable
toll.
movies. Yeah, they're not a movie you go in and be like, let's bring the family, get everybody sit down, grab your popcorn, and let's have a good time, you know?
Yeah,
It's
get
like,
the
I'm
kids,
not
let's watch
expecting-
this.
Right, I'm not expecting every movie to be like a happy ending or like you feel
Right.
great watching it. It's just like with emotional toll movies like that, it's just like, I mean, it's only something I can appreciate one time. Like there's also many times I could watch it. That's why I'm like, I'm not a huge war movie guy, because it's just like it's another one of those emotional tolls. Be like, okay, tragedy, okay,
Right.
heartbreak, okay,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Heartbreak Ridge.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's one of-
yeah.
I feel like all the war movies are type of movies that you see like maybe every once in like a year or two or something like
think-
that, or longer.
I think one exception to that, and I agree with you guys for the most part. Most war movies I watch once and then I'm like, okay. I think Dunkirk is an exception to that. I think Dunkirk is as stellar as a movie as you can make. I think I think there's could be some arguments for like, you don't really ever connect with any of the characters.
I fell asleep.
But,
Dion not like,
and I
like Dunkirk.
I mean, I understand. I could whatever it is that you don't like about Dunkirk, I can understand. But I think it's shot so beautifully and edited so beautifully.
Okay, I agree with that. It
And
was
it's-
shot well, but I just fell asleep during that movie.
And it's I think it's compelling in a way that because it's not about like every other war movie. It's not about the soldiers. It's not about these individuals. It's about the collective and the effort that was made to save these people at this beach. And when all
Yes.
those boats come in at the end, you're like, yes, they did it. They got them.
I've never seen the movie,
they
but
saved-
I am very familiar with what happened at Dunkirk, so like I know
Yeah, same
exactly
here.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to rewatch it at some
I'm
point.
dying to hear it. Yeah, what do you got to say about Dunkirk? This is great.
He's like
it.
holding it back right now.
I'm waiting for him to
I love
just
it.
go. I'm waiting for him
I
to
love
just
it.
go Dunkirk. More like Dunkirk, like that's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for him to explode because he's prepping right now. You
I
can
know,
see on
he's
his
like going
face.
back and forth. As soon as he said Dunkirk, he was like, "Oh God!" Why'd you
Wait,
say
is there
that?
steam
He's
coming out of his
having
ears?
he's having a Lord give me strength moment.
There's some steam coming out of his ears right now.
I love it. Yeah, breathe.
Count to 10, DL. Count to 10. It's okay.
Center yourself. Calm.
He's getting his zen. Oh, man.
Dunkirk is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
It really angers. I mean, if people enjoy it, that's fine. I don't want to take it away.
I love
from
it.
people,
It's one of my favorite
but,
movies.
Deep inside, I don't understand why people love this movie. There is no character. There is no story. I had no idea what was going on. The cinematography wasn't even that great.
All right, okay, hold on.
I agree with the first two parts. I'll take the first two parts, but the third one, I don't know about that. I like the
have
cinematography.
all of that. I'll let you have that. There's like no character. There's no this. It's not interesting. It's hard to follow. I'll give you all that. But that movie is shot beautifully.
I
will
agree
not
with
budge
that.
off
There's
of that.
some shots that
I didn't
are
like
shot
the movie,
beautifully.
but it was shot really well.
There's some of them. There's some shots that are shot beautifully, not the whole thing.
What's his name?
And here's the thing.
Hoyt Van
I don't know
Hoytma, I
any-
think is the name of the cinematographer who does all of Nolan's movies. Believe it, yeah. Hoyt Van Hoytma. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's somebody else.
No, he had a bad day at the office, whoever that was.
So did you like 1911? Because I feel like wasn't that movie shot like
1917?
or 1917?
was
That's
great.
what it was. Yeah, no, I think I was like, it's 19 something, all right. But I heard that one wasn't that one like supposed to be shot like in like looks like it's all in one shot.
It was
or something
designed to
like
look like two continuous shots.
Yeah, so like so obviously that one probably has really good cinematography, but I just
It's
haven't
phenomenal.
seen it yet.
It's with Deacons.
I think that
being
movie
Deacons.
is. Yeah, he finally won the. He finally won an Academy Award for it. Yeah.
That's
No,
awesome.
no, he won it for. Didn't he win it for Blade Runner?
Oh, maybe that was first. No, I don't think he won.
Yeah, he did. He did win for Blade Runner first, and then he won again.
I love both. Blade Runner is. You talking about the newest?
Blade Runner
Runner
2049 is one of my top
I
five.
re- I love that movie.
That's what I'm gonna bring up for
I just
I wrote-
saw it for the first time like maybe a month or two ago because it was on HBO Max, and honestly, like that was really good. And I watched the original one right before it, and wow.
So my
Both
two
of 'em are
final
great.
papers before I graduated college for my film study classes one was Beast of No Nations. I wrote
Oh.
one on that, and the like the reflection of like how it's I believe it's Fujikami, whatever the dude's name is. It's a Japanese American dude who directed it, and it's like was an international film class.
Right.
And then the other one was Blade Runner 2049. I wrote like a 10-page paper on it.
Fukunaga?
I wrote a 10-page
Fukunaga, yeah.
paper on V for Vendetta because we had to read the comic for my
You can
freshman
write
class.
paper on
And
it.
the two
I'm on my
easiest
sophomore
papers,
year now.
the two easiest papers I've ever written were I wrote a paper about what's her name? She helped with The Empire Strikes Back. I'm blanking on her name
Lee
right now.
Brackett?
Lee Brackett. I wrote a long paper on Lee Brackett, and that was super easy because it was just super easy to find stuff and write about her and pontificate. But the other one was Blade Runner 2049, and it was like I wrote a paper on like its exploration of what it means to be human and feel and have like emotions. And it was just the easiest thing I've ever written. If I wrote like 8 to 9 pages or something, it was like thousands of words in it. I wrote it like that. It was easy.
Blade, yeah,
And
Blade
that's
Runner's
that,
good for me.
like I just had so much to talk about from that film, and it was one of the only times I've ever had fun writing a paper.
Well, that's gonna be one of the films that I talk about for sure. So before we get to me, TW, I know you got some I'm sure some hot takes and some fun movies.
Not as hot as you'd think. But like I'm gonna open
not
with.
as hot as Dial's tonight. Dial
No.
is the hot taker tonight. He is.
Well, I want to say like everything Dial said. I've heard from. He's not the only one. Like the things
I agree,
Dunkirk
yeah.
has no character and is boring.
My best friend who loves war movies, die-hard action movies, like wants to
Yeah.
be in the military, all that came out of that movie and was like, that was the worst war movie I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, what? And he's so I totally understand. I think for me, what I got about that movie and what came out for me was, I think at the time I was kind of like Paul. I was taking film classes and studying film, and there was something about that movie that, for me, I felt it was one of the only movies I felt like I was in the movie. I felt
That's
like
crazy. That's what I was about to say.
feeling-
I felt like I was a part of it.
I felt like I was feeling the anxiety of the characters. I was feeling the fear. There's that scene where they're all swimming and the boat is tipping over and they have to like swim out of the way just in time. And there was like that for me. It felt like that was a movie. Like if you could make a movie virtual reality, that's the closest that you could get.
Yeah.
But also, like I've never been in a war. I don't know anything.
And then so the other two things that Dial he said he thinks No Country for Old Men is kind of like it's like super dour and not that interesting. I get that. I disagree, but I do understand. And then for 12 Years a Slave, like movies like that can feel like it's not hard to make something emotional when you make it about like the Holocaust or slavery or something, and it can feel kind of cheap. And so I understand that sentiment. You know what I mean? It's like it's cheap. It's like, oh, we're going to do a movie about this. Although I feel like it's done very well and not in that kind of way. I could see how it comes across as like, okay, another movie about this. All right. I totally understand.
Right. It's just like with 12 Years a Slave, it's like they did it's the thing with slave movies in general for me is that they tread the same beats over and over again.
Yeah, I get it.
12 Years a Slave did some things different with the story, but it's like it's the same type of movies. You're seeing black people get tortured and they eventually get out. They're not saying anything new. And it's like there was a period where we kept getting slave movies over and over again. It's not saying anything different from each other. Like in Birth of a Nation too, that came out like not too long after that. Like you do what are you saying that's different, man? And then okay, with Dunkirk, I understand that because I heard that before. It's like they make you feel like you're actually there, which I kind of see that with the cinematography. But the problem is that I don't know anything about Dunkirk, and after watching the movie, I still don't know anything about it.
I give you know what? I give you that. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, even though I'm not like a huge war person, like I would still walk out of a war movie like understanding or somewhat appreciating what type of war the movie's trying to tell us. I would get an understanding of how important that war that time in the war was. I didn't get any of that. Even when I'm trying to feel tension or like stakes with the soldiers in Dunkirk, I didn't even understand what was going on for almost half the movie. I'm like, what is happening? Even when they're in danger, the actors aren't like showing, to me, they aren't showing enough danger or urgency with their performances. Like I didn't feel that personally. Even when they're drowning, it's like, okay, this sucks, but I'm like, they're not giving me enough. It's like Nolan's direction with actors, they're trying to make them so sober and just monotone and like giving endless exposition where they don't actually feel like people. So like when the emotional stuff happens, I'm not feeling what I should be feeling. So yeah,
do you like I'm curious, do you like Interstellar?
No.
You know,
I haven't seen it. So I gotta check it out.
I love Interstellar. I think it's fantastic. But
my two movies.
Like I will say this. Here's another hot take for you guys. Here's another hot take.
Oh boy, I'm ready.
Nolan went downhill after The Dark Knight. I didn't like a movie he's made after The Dark Knight.
I loved Inception.
Dark Knight Rises. I didn't like Interstellar. I hated Dunkirk, and I hated Tenet. So
okay, I'll give you this. I did not like Tenet.
I didn't really like Tenet. I kind of like Tenet, but it was just kind of all over the place for me.
Starting, starting with I mean, I have it too on I have it too on 4K because I didn't see it in theaters, but I
watched it on HBO.
I saw it twice, and I was like, here's the thing now with Nolan is
each movie. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I was just gonna finish my thing with like with Nolan after Dark Knight. His writing for characters and his structures for the movies keep getting more and more disconnected to relatability. Like whether the characters aren't actually acting like people, they feel like exposition machines. They're not talking how regular people talk, and it's like, and then as far as his substance, I will use that term lightly. Whatever substance he tries to put into his scripts, it's just confusing and overcomplicated for the sake of being overly complicated. And there was the last straw for me for Tenet because I had no idea what was going on in that movie. I was getting angry. Like, why is this happening? No, you're not that deep. Stop it.
And that's one of the things I like about Nolan, though, and I enjoy his films. No one's doing the same stuff or trying the same stuff he is. You can't point me to a director that is. He takes bigger swings and is able to make. He's the only director right now who isn't doing a bunch of stuff based on something else, and his stuff is always gigantic. It's always like a tentpole thing, and they're all big swings. He's trying to hit a home run with something different every single time, and it's always higher concept, and it's always much more interesting to me than the average blockbuster film. And I could see how, like, I totally understand where you're coming from. It seems like fake deep. You're trying too hard. This, that, and the other thing. It just happens to land for me most of the time. And I'm watching it. I'm like, this is like. Have you ever seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? I feel like that movie is the same way.
You're just hitting all my triggers today, aren't you?
And that movie is the same way. That movie is one of those movies where, like, oh my god, these people are trying way too damn hard. But for me, I'm I find this so interesting. I find it so much more compelling than most stuff. I just like the higher concept and ideas. And even if it doesn't hit on all of them or it doesn't always make sense, he's at least trying to do something bigger, rather than doing just a by the numbers movie that's going to check all the boxes and get it done and be like, oh, okay, that was fun. I leave it going, oh, you know what, this was different, and I enjoyed it.
Very true. But I will also say this. I think starting with Dunkirk, I can also kind of agree with you, DL, in that I think his ego is starting to get in the way with his movies. Like it started a little bit with Dunkirk with the whole time thing that he did with it, that it takes, which I thought was unnecessary, but I did like it.
What things then?
It jumps around timeline wise.
The time theme, but it's not very specific about it. It doesn't really say anything. It's just like
I will say.
Go ahead.
That so I was in a film editing class at the time, and around the time the Oscars came up, and my editing teacher was like, okay, I want you guys to all write on a slip of paper which movie you think is going to win for best editing, and then if that movie wins, you get an extra like 10% on whatever. And I was the only person that put Dunkirk, and it won for best editing, and I was the only person that got any extra. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. But that's the thing, is I think he's starting to get to a point where, like, everybody loved Inception and Interstellar because they are very complex and high,
like
high thinking and stuff. But then he goes to a point with Dunkirk and Tenet. For me, I didn't like Tenet. I mean, Tenet was just like his ego. I felt like this was Christopher Nolan on ego steroids. It was through the roof.
I didn't really like it.
It just came off as like, all right, dude, I get that you're trying to be smart and that you do that with every movie. But this is too fucking much, because even I can't get what's going on here at the whole time. And I do think movies are meant to be rewatched a second time sometimes and things like that.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be rewatched 5 or 6 or 8 times to get the full story.
I have said before, I've said this before when it comes to understanding themes and narrative and characters. In a modern day, it's a little bit different, but I've said particularly with films before, I like to give them a good grace period up till about 19. You can go all the way back to like 1975, but sometimes I'll even go up to about 1985 with a couple of exceptions that I enjoy. I should want a second viewing, but I should never need a second viewing.
That's fair.
True. I like that.
And like I said, that it's not hard and fast rule. Like, one perfect example of that is I shift my time scale, but like Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, you definitely do kind of need a second viewing to kind of, once you've watched it, to get the scope and to kind of, now that you've seen everything in perspective, it's just kind of changes things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely, this is kind of a side note, I think definitely the as far as like big moments, I think Blade Runner, the original, probably has better big moments than 2049, but I think Blade Runner 2049 is objectively a better movie than
I think
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner 2049 is better than the
original. I don't think, like, for example, I don't think a single moment in Blade Runner 2049 matches Roy Batty's Teardrops in the Rain speech. Not a single moment matches that.
That
moment.
was probably my favorite scene of the original.
I'd argue that
it is one of my favorite scenes.
I think there is a few moments in that movie that do.
Yeah, that scene is one of the best movie scenes ever. Like
when Ryan is looking at that little horse that he thinks that he played with as a kid in those flashbacks, and that I thought that.
And
that's a great one.
Because that's the one thing I love about Blade Runner 2049 is, yes, like you said, it obviously plays with Are You Human and all this.
Yeah.
But it plays with this idea I think that we all have is like that we're all destined to be something or chosen to be something, or feel like we have this bigger purpose, and that's kind of what the character is about, and it leads to is like, no, you're not anything special, but the idea that he drove him to do all of these human-like things.
My favorite thing about the theme from Blade Runner 2049 is because the big question going into that movie for fans of it was, is Harrison Ford's character Deckard, is he a replicant? And my favorite thing, it drives home the main theme of that movie perfectly at the end of the movie, and it doesn't matter. He thinks, he feels, he cares, he loves. It doesn't matter if he's a replicant or a human being. It just doesn't. Everyone feels, everyone who exists, and I just love the message there, and that it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, orange, green, purple. It doesn't matter if you're a replicant or a human. You think, you feel, you care. That's all that matters, and that's what I love about it.
I definitely got to see this movie now, man. Like I really.
Oh, dude!
It's fantastic. It is long. It can be. It's very high concept.
2 hours and 45 minutes.
I've watched. I love the original, and I've watched the Snyder cut. So I'm like, movie length and deep concepts are not lost on me.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, and whether or not you like it or not, I think you will definitely get something from it. You'll go, okay, I see, I enjoy this.
Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
What we're talking about. Adam said Dunkirk. So there you go, Diab. Adam thought Dunkirk was mayhem as well.
Thanks. I just say that 2049 I think is like one of the great technological achievements of today for sure. Like watching, just to me, like sitting down watching that movie, every frame, every shot, the sound mixing, the score is fantastic. Yeah. It's something I haven't seen in like a long time, if ever. Even if I don't love the story, like at least like from a technological standpoint, it's worth seeing for sure.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, I remember the score and the sound. I remember I saw that in Dolby Atmos and stuff, and so like, dude, when the score and stuff would come on, like the seats were shaking and stuff. I was like, oh man, it's an epic movie. It's an epic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. But TW, what do you got, man? What's your movie?
To kind of open with, I'm going to kind of echo Ty. I'm going to open with a moment of sort of emotion in a sense of like because my own mom passed of cancer a few years ago, and we had a bond in the same way that Ty had his with Titanic. My mom and I, it was very much the works of Harrison Ford. Like various things throughout his career. And the one movie that we bonded on very much was The Fugitive, which is in and of itself is a fantastic movie.
Love
just
that.
As a movie, period. But just that, we've watched that so many times, I could quote it in my sleep. But like, I think having my mom around also kind of exposed me to two different sides of that kind of filmmaking, because I was more obviously in, Han Solo and Indy and Deckard and stuff like that. And then you've got, all the other things, like the more kind of traditional dramas and romances that Harrison Ford was a part of, stuff like, 6 Days, 7 Nights and Working Girl and Sabrina and stuff like that.
Wow,
I love the 90s Sabrina film that he's in. But that's sort of one film that I think of as well. And then, my dad has a big love of mob movies. And so our big sort of one movie that kind of really inspired me in that respect was Goodfellas. That was the one movie that we
I love
bonded on
that.
together, and like it's such a great movie. But
You
what always
talking to me?
interested me as a kid, yeah, that's Taxi Driver. But yeah,
No. It's the scene with Spider where like you
oh
think I'm
yes, oh
funny?
yeah, the
Think I'm
oh
funny?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
he says that line as well. But I was
I
just gonna
forgot
start
about
off.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but what always interested me when I was younger was and I've talked about it before, was the technical side of filmmaking. And I love Star Wars for the story and the world building, and that really inspired me in many respects to want to look at writing, and telling stories. I think is because the first of the Star Wars movies I actually saw was The Empire Strikes Back. I was at a family friend's house. I came downstairs. I didn't even watch the whole movie at the start. It was like right during the Battle of Hoth, like right when what was it? Right when the snow speeders are sweeping down towards the AT-ATs. So
Okay.
that was where that kind of started. But I always loved the story aspect of that too, and the grand sort of world building. And it took until I was older then I realized that I was less inspired to kind of want to read more science fiction, and more so I realized, oh, it's not the science fiction I love about Star Wars, it's the fantasy I love about Star Wars. And when that kind of clicked, it was like, okay. And then my interests sort of shifted, and that was where, like, I found, because I was also growing up in, around the time that the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out, and so I got exposed to that and seeing the grand scope of it. But a lot of the stuff that I was really interested in when I was younger, when it came to filmmaking, because I always was kind of at a younger age interested in filmmaking, was the technical side of it and a lot of the visual effects, which is why I brought up that ILM special earlier. And like in the same way that a lot of people could, name tentpole, like, name like sort of tentpole A-list actors in a film, whether it's like we're talking about Harrison Ford, or we're talking about, Carrie Fisher or Sir Alec Guinness or something like that. I could also name, okay, Ben Burt did this, John Dykstra built the lightsaber, on Jurassic Park, like Dennis Muren helped put together the dinosaurs, and Tippett and worked on the models and stuff like that. So that was always what was more interesting to me at a younger age. And then as I got older and I wanted to tell stories, I in the same way that Star Wars has been a part of my life for so long, I think just having an exposure to just good quality, well written movies, of all sorts, like whether it's something like a movie. My favorite movie of all time is The Empire Strikes Back. But if there's one movie where I almost call it a perfect movie, not in terms of necessarily, like with a combination of a good story, it's well edited, good score, good performances, it's easily comprehensible, you get the arcs of the characters and so forth, is Back to the Future Part 1. That one
Yes.
movie is, in my opinion, it's when I talk about like a perfect movie for me, I always talk about Back to the Future, because it gives you, it's like the one movie where it's one of the movies, not unlike A New Hope, I think, where you can kind of just put it on when it comes to that genre, and you
Yep.
get everything that's going on. Like in A New Hope, you can, for example, take everything that Obi-Wan tells Luke about, you can just take it at face value, and the movie is not devalued in any respect. But
Yeah.
other movies I think of is, like I said, Goodfellas and stuff like that, because my dad is a lifelong Scorsese fan, so I was exposed to, as I became a teenager, things like Taxi Driver and The Departed, and
Oh,
a
dude, The
bunch of other.
Departed.
The Departed
Woo!
is one of my favorite
All-time
Scorsese
favorite.
films, but
Yeah.
also, two of the great dramas written of all time, in my opinion, which both coincidentally were Stephen King written films, are The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. And like those are two movies where it's like it's like Back to the Future, it's like A New Hope, even though Empire is my favorite movie. It's one of those movies where I can put it on at any time on any day of the year, and I know I'm going to have an amazing time, but I also know, like, it's endlessly rewatchable for me. And I know I'm talking about a lot of drama here, but I have a great love of comedy as well. I know, like, I kind of crack jokes in there, but like I really love a lot of comedy movies, like just good old fashioned buddy comedies and stuff like that. Like one of my favorite movies that my dad and I love, and it's because it's just a great fun crazy buddy comedy, is a film called Nothing to Lose. You ever see it?
It sounds really
Tim. It came out in '98. Tim Robbins, Martin Lawrence are your two buddy comedies. Tim Robbins comes home one day and sees his wife, played by Kelly Preston, sleeping. He sleeping with his boss, and so he snaps and he kind of Martin Lawrence is a guy who's a carjacker or carjacker wannabe and tries to hold him up. And Tim Robbins has this moment of, boy, you picked the wrong guy on the wrong day. And then as the movie goes on, Tim Robbins decides he's going to rob his boss of, just shy of $1 million. But the cast in that movie is phenomenal. Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence are your two leads. The wife is played. Tim Robbins' wife is played by the late great Kelly Preston.
Right.
They run into a couple of general what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like highwaymen, basically. Sort of your highway criminals out in the boonies there in the desert of it's because not really the boonies. It's they live in California, so they went up to Nevada, and so it's sort of in that area around. Right. Just as you're coming out of Northern California.
Yeah, no, that's definitely desert. You can say.
Yeah, and so there's a couple of guys who have this car, and they're kind of mistaken for Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins' character. Like, hey, wait a minute, this is our turf. What are these guys robbing this and doing that on our turf? And they're played by two phenomenal actors who had careers later on. John C. McGinley, who we all know from Scrubs and all these other great places. And Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, whoa, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Breaking
it's
Bad.
great.
Yeah.
And the boss, by the way, Tim Robbins' boss is played by Michael McKean as well. So you guys might know as oh my goodness, David St. Hubbins from Spinal Tap would probably be one of the big movies he's in. But Michael McKean, you've seen him in all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It is a really fun movie. And like that and Midnight Run is another movie I love a lot, and I'm just not thinking of any comedies off the top of my head in the sense of
Lethal Weapon
kind of
movies were big for me and my stepdad. Loved the Lethal
No
Weapon
kidding.
movies.
I've actually never seen any of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Oh, they're great. They're great buddy comedy. You talk about great buddy comedy movies because the two of those guys have just completely different personalities.
Yeah.
It just so happens that works together. And then you had Joe Pesci in there as their little third wheeler, and it's great.
I'm familiar obviously with the plot and stuff like that, but and the fact they made 5 or something like that.
Yeah, they did four of them. Yep.
And then Dion was talking about animation, and another movie my mom and I kind of bonded on. We bonded on a lot of older classic Disney movies. Well, not just simply Beauty and the Beast, but going all the way back to some of the original Disney animated films, notably among them Sleeping Beauty. I mean, I think that's where I honestly think I've joked that my love of certain narrative tropes and genres kind of all come back to Disney in a weird way. Yeah. My love of fantasy, I think I can probably trace clean back to Sleeping Beauty. I mean, in the same way that, you have, kids whose parents got them, dresses and stuff like that and dressed them up like Disney princesses and stuff like that. I asked my mom to make me Prince Philip's sword and shield that he gets from the fairies in that movie. I mean, if there ever was a great example of just classic fun children's, in this case, fantasy, you've got a story about, a brave prince who's also kind of a knight going to rescue a damsel in distress by fighting this demonic dragon witch lady, and I say that not to be demonic, and I say that not to be funny. I mean, literally, Maleficent, if you remember, if for those who don't know, it literally says when she turns into her dragon form that she is going to fight back Prince Philip with all the powers of hell. She literally says that, and I'm like, and thinking back, I'm like, that's really metal for a Disney movie. But I joke, that's where I joke my love of fantasy started with Sleeping Beauty. My love of this'll make sense later on. My joke of my love of dark alternate timelines and dark alternate futures. My joke is it began with an episode of Goof Troop I watched as a kid.
Goof Troop?
Yeah. Well, you've always watched a lot of Goof Troop, right, Dale?
Yeah.
Rex lies in videotape, the dream sequence, like when they fake the dream after Pete tries to steal the Hawaii vacation, and like Goofy's dead and Max has swindled Pete out of the car lots and stuff like
what?
that.
Yeah.
It's a long and short. There's an episode of Goof Troop called Rex Lies in Videotape. What happens
That's
is
a take on like sex lies and videotape.
yes,
What?
Disney were nuts. But like it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with the movie. It has nothing to do with the actual Sex Lies and Videotape movie. Basic premise:
Right.
Goofy and Max can't normally afford an expensive vacation, so they enter this sort of America's Funniest Home Videos pastiche to win a trip to Hawaii. They win, but because what Pete did, Pete being the cheap a-hole he decides to pretend to be Goofy to go on to because they film Goofy and doing this whole crazy thing. He pretends to be Goofy to go on the show so he can claim the prize himself. And after his wife finds out, she flips out, and so they have this whole moment of like trying to get back at him. So while he's asleep in the chair at home, they plan this elaborate sort of fake dream where like Goofy is haunting him like a ghost because Goofy drowned in his fishing bucket in his backyard and shows him like because of like you did this and like Pete's dead. Max swindled him out of his car lots. PJ and Pistol are like these gangsters, and I say that in like the full-on Al Capone, you'll never take us alive, see moment, like they die in a firefight on quote-unquote television. Pete's wife is working for Max for pennies on the dollar an hour. It's really like it's really dark, but it's the point is to say like like there's a moment where after PJ's been shot by the cops, it's like, why'd you become crooks? And like he's talking to him through the TV, just following in your footsteps, Dad, like father, like son, and dies. And it's so funny in hindsight, but I joke that's where my love of dark alternate futures began.
So it's all back. It all goes back to Disney, dude.
Yeah, but like but back to kind of Sleeping Beauty real quick is like the not just old Disney movies like that, but another thing that we always bonded on, my mom and I, were musicals. And like Mary Poppins was chief among them. I mean, I've joked that like as far as musicals and stuff like that, there are certain songs like whether it's Beauty and the Beast as sung by Angela Lansbury or whether it's like Feed the Birds, I'm like, or Spoonful of Sugar to an extent, I can't, like I have this involuntary physical response of just I get incredibly emotional. I mean, literally. What's the name of the movie? Finding Mr. Banks was on television one day, and so I flipped over to the channel, and it's the Saving Mr. Banks. That's it, and it's the scene where the Sherman brothers are composing A Spoonful of Sugar. I started just crying, like I was really emotional, but I think the one thing that and kind of when it came to sort of if we're talking about how those movies inspired me in a way, we talked about how it inspired my love of genres. I think that helped inspire my love of musicals, but movies like that kind of gave me a love of films with heart in that sense. And then to kind of tie it into the last thing for me, like we've talked about Star Wars, we talked about Disney. Just to quickly touch on comic book movies. I had a love of the Schumacher films growing up, but I grew up obviously also watching the Burton movies too. And so like the movies that I say when it comes to my favorite comic book movies, as far as like wanting to see a good comic book movie made, were like the 78 Superman, because this is before the Snyderverse, was the 78 Superman movie, and Batman Begins are like two of my favorite superhero movies ever made. Like because this is pre-MCU, this is like going right back to when I'm a child, and wanting to see it. I think that's why I liked Batman the way I do, but also why I like Superman the way I do and the way that Paul does. And I think I'm a little bit different from Paul when it comes to, for example, my depiction of Superman in my head as to what I'm doing perfectly, where it's in the sense of Superman out in the public would be the big blue Boy Scout and would seemingly do everything right, but then he comes home either on his own or to the fortress or to see Lois, and he can, for lack of a better term, talk about his day. He gets to be the Kryptonian out on the streets of Metropolis. When he's at home, he's human. That's where the person. Where the person comes out.
I agree. He definitely has like, in my mind, he like definitely has like he has those low moments, but he always fights through them. Have you read what's it called? It's a Tom King book, Superman Up in the Sky, I think it's called.
I haven't read it, but I am familiar with it. Though.
It's very good. He runs into a lot of things where it's like this is such a hard decision to make, and he does it, and he's like, damn, but he works through it, and he gets through it like Superman would. But I get what you're saying. He has those moments where he can be kind of not weak, but kind of
vulnerable. And that's not and he gets to kind of just to be that, like to get that opportunity, I think is important because you need to you need to see that he isn't perfect as a person. He might be perfect in terms of strength and speed, and he can always, in that sense, fight the bad guy. But you need to be able to, in my opinion, have that moment to show that he is still mortal.
Yeah.
That's why, Superman is my favorite comic book character of all time. And I meet in the middle between, how Paul sees Superman and how Oscar sees Superman. Like, I do like the Boy Scout that inspires people, but I also like, making them more relatable and having them go through mistakes and stuff like that. Actually learn what it means to be human, I think there could be like a perfect balance with that.
Yeah,
even though Man of Steel is one of my favorite films, but even then it's like I don't feel like it hit the perfect balance of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Man of Steel, and I agree. I think Man of Steel for me definitely got me way more interested in Superman than I ever had been.
Dan Jurgens in his interview, because I watched Enosh's interview over on the Point Extra Lounge, his interview with Dan Jurgens, and Dan Jurgens had a great moment comparing Batman to Superman, which was Batman is who, like, with respect to humanity, Batman is who we are, but Superman is who we should aspire to be.
Right.
Like it's a bit of a simplification, but I thought that was a really interesting take, and I'm like, that's really what I like out of Superman. It's that whole monologue if you're looking at Man of Steel, that monologue that Jor-El says to Clark, you will give the people an ideal to strive towards. They'll stumble, they'll fall, but in time they'll join you in the sun. I think that's a good. It's in the right direction of, like, if I was writing a Superman movie, where I would want the audience to understand where Superman is going and who he is.
I'm sorry, I gotta get out of here, guys. But the last thing I want to say in reference to that, I love that moment and that line. I feel like those movies never get him to that place, and we never see him in that place where he is the ideal where people strive to be. And that's one of my complaints with those movies. But I think Man of Steel does it better than any of the other movies that Henry Cavill is in. But thank you guys for having me. I wish I could stay for the whole time, but I got to,
Yeah, we're about to be wrapping up anyway.
I appreciate you guys. My show Into the West Comics is going to be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're going to talk about a lot of the same stuff we talked about here. I will have watched What If by then, so I will talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the new comics that came out this week. And probably play some games and stuff, and it'll be fun. And I appreciate you guys being here. I love coming on here and talking with you guys. And I'll see you guys later.
Yes.
All right. Good seeing you, Paul.
Thanks for coming on.
Take it easy.
Good to see you.
Yeah, but for me, Man of Steel, that was a big one. For me, that got me into it. But yeah, guys. I mean, any before we wrap up here, any final thoughts? Any last words from anybody on their movies and their inspirations? I agree with you, TW. Actually, you said a lot of movies that I liked. I like a lot of dramas and stuff like that too, Fugitive and all that stuff. So
I think it's because everyone else kind of went so heavy on a lot of the things that I love so much. I kind of wanted to just offer something a little bit different, just to say, like, okay, especially because we're so in pop culture on everything here and on the other channels a lot of us frequent. So it's to kind of talk about other sides of, like, film and other sides of comics that I think are cool. Is something that is good. It's nice to kind of talk about that, and You know, like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
like in the private chat and stuff like that. You know,
I know.
you
It
guys,
was like you
me and
Paul getting
Paul talk
your
talk sports a lot.
baseball
So
talk.
like that's why I love it. It's like I've been finding people who where it's like we can bond about other things. Like Anthony from the ACS universe. We bond on sports. Likewise with Brian, Master of None, and Dawson, and we kind of bond on sports as much as I do pop culture. And so I think just even wanting to talk about other things, like it's not wanting to kind of step outside of a niche, but it's just to kind of it's cool when we have those conversations that it's like as the conversation goes on, we'll interject something as a joke or like as a comment that we might think about. And hey, you like this too? Yeah, man, I love this. Like I think that's always a lot of fun.
I agree, and I've been wanting to do more stuff like this where we can just talk about just like non-comic book film. I love just I can talk about like the Aliens franchise and the behind the scenes and the production of that
And
all
like
day
I could do
long.
that, and like I could do that for Predator comparatively. I
Yeah,
love the Predator franchise, and I could probably talk for 2 hours with DL about how much we both love Power Rangers and stuff like that. And,
dude. Speaking of Power Rangers, Boom Studios has a sick Power Rangers comic series out right now.
I have not been reading it, but I am.
I just started it. It's really good.
Yes, and I've heard great things about the writer because like Kyle Higgins wrote a lot of the early MMPR stuff, like for them when Boom first brought the books out, and the stuff that I'd read of his from Nightwing and things like that, I enjoyed. So I just need to sit down and do that. And then once the first volume also for Radiant Black comes out, which is one of his more recent comics that I want to read so badly because it's like, for those who don't know, Radiant Black is a new Kyle Higgins written book. I'm forgetting the artist at the moment. It's basically think American superhero comics combined with Japanese tokusatsu superheroes of the likes of Power Rangers and Ultraman and stuff like that. And it's sort of combining those worlds, I think, into one sort of cohesive vision. And like even just looking at if you look at Radiant Black, like the superhero, if you look at his design, it's definitely for me more in line with a tokusatsu superhero than he is with an American superhero. It's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely check that out. What's it called?
Radiant Black.
Radiant Black. Okay. Radiant Black. And that's Boom Studios?
It's either Boom. I think it's either Boom or Image. I forget exactly who. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, man, they got Power Rangers. Freaking love the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm one of the fans. I liked the Power Rangers movie they made a couple years ago. I was like,
2017 one. Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I was like, I like this.
Yeah, I wanted more. Let's make those 6 movies.
For real. I remember reading about that deal that they were going to do a whole franchise, and I was like, yeah.
I still haven't seen the whole. I still haven't seen the whole movie, but I've seen a lot of the key plot points. I saw the post-credit scene, and I'm like, man, you want to talk about the ultimate like tease? Like, come on.
I know that they teased the dude.
Tommy was always my favorite Ranger, always. And so, like, that's why it always sucked. Like, if Jason David Frank wanted to come up here for conventions, he always had to, like, cancel or things like that. And I'm like, oh, I just want to tell you how much the character, if they're ever want to talk about characters that inspired me, I'm like, if I was a slenderer individual, I probably would have pursued martial arts in many respects because of Tommy as a character. And especially because they had the continuity of him being around for, relative to even the other Ranger teams. He was there for, 7 years-ish? Or 5 years, right? Between 3 seasons, or MMPR, then Zeo, and then the first half of Turbo, and then he came back for Dino Thunder, which is still one of my favorite seasons. Like that was on when I was a kid. I love that.
Dino Thunder was sick. I love that. Well, yeah, guys. With that, we are at the 2.5 hour mark. So I'm gonna be calling it here. But as we wrap up, I'm gonna go around. You guys can let everybody know where everyone can find you guys and all that fun stuff, and give yourselves a little promotion there. So we'll start with DL there.
Y'all can find me on the YouTubes at DL Vince, exactly how it's spelled right here. I talk about movies, I talk about different shows and stuff in the nerd geek culture, including Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Disney, you name it. Recently doing Disney reviews with my girlfriend, if you guys want to check those out. And yeah, some more Marvel and DC stuff. Suicide Squad, I still haven't done a podcast on that. That should be trying to do that really soon, and then trying to catch up with the shows with Marvel, talk about Loki and What If. So yeah, go ahead if you want to check out my takes on stuff, my hot takes on movies. Go ahead, check out my channel.
Right, his hot takes on the Christopher Nolan movies over there.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
especially Dunkirk.
That was a spicy meatball.
oh,
Dude,
boy.
I loved it. I was thinking I'm gonna go back and clip some of that because he just goes off for a second. He's like,
It's
"This
so funny.
is trash. It's a terrible movie." I was like, "Yeah, I love it."
So that was so funny.
Let the rage fill you, DL.
You can see the steam coming out of his ears.
Ooh. Ooh.
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
man.
I thought it was great. Alrighty there, Black Ops. Let's get some promotion for you. Where can people find you?
Well, obviously, and my name, you can see that I'm on Twitch at Black Ops GB. I am going to be doing a stream after I go eat some food real quick after this, and you can find me on Twitter at Black Ops GB as well.
Nice. And then finally, TW,
The legend.
the legend.
Why? Thank you kindly. Yes, if you guys want to, find me anywhere on the socials and have yourself a conversation, you can find me at TWMcKay34 on Twitter, on Instagram. I also have a Reddit account under that same name. So if you guys want to find me, I'd put it in the chat for you. You guys want to go quickly look her up if you want to.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you guys so much. I love that. I love these type of talks, like talking about the movies that inspire us and what God is, because obviously we love comic book movies, we love comics and all that, but also I think we just love movies. We love good storytelling and things like that, and so it was cool to hear from all of you guys what those were. So definitely, guys, make sure like this video, share, subscribe, and come back next time. We'll have a panel next week as usual. Tomorrow, see, I'm already starting to. Words are happening. Tomorrow's Jiving with Jack. Friday, something's gonna happen because it's Friday, and I'm sure somebody will stream something. And then Saturday, there's gonna be a podcast with Ty, so check that out. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Make sure to like the video, and we will see you all next time. We do it for you, and we do it for the culture.